ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more to the third and final day here for the Team Chile Tryouts for Overwatch World Cup 2026. And it has been a couple of chaotic days. We've had a lot of players come through here, show what they can do, everybody looking good in their own rights. But Dex, it's best to address that elephant right out the gate. Obviously, with so many players, we've narrowed in the field a little bit to a much smaller selection of players that are going to be playing today, as it seems they've started to narrow down the field as to who they think could represent them for 2026.
Cinco, cuatro.
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to be really exciting to see what the case is going to be here as we're getting ready to set up for this first game. Obviously, you saw some of the players that were going to be involved in that situation, but obviously we'll have to see momentarily what the case is going to be. But I'm excited for it. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of these players, and now with things narrowed down, the pressure kind of increases a slight amount. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see at the end of the day. But obviously, with that, there comes a lot of excitement because this is the last official day for trials. Whether or not any may be brought in after the fact or beyond that, it's to be seen. But Dex, we're getting ready to get into this first map pretty quickly out the gate here, and here's hoping for a good one.
Yeah, gonna be going in
Perfect.
now to what is Nepal here, and out the gate here. We saw this yesterday. Both these teams playing mirror comps. That's what we expect to see throughout the night here. Winston, Echo, Tracer, Lucio, and Kiri to get started here right now. And I mean, we saw some good Echo play yesterday from a lot of the players here, but no hit scan DPS here. You're really seeing them now flex over to a little bit more of that flex DPS.
Yeah, no, 100% you are. And we'll see what the case is going to be as, for the moment being, point close to capping over towards the blue side of things, and they will get that first cap over. Already starting to rack up some percentage as big kill for Burt to clean things up.
I'm a little behind here, so tell me.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I'm at 10% right now. So,
Keep going.
yeah, so I'm going to keep counting, ladies and gentlemen, because I love counting. 15, 16, 17,
Okay,
18.
go.
Fantastic. All right, that means we can get ready and set for this next fight. And already we're seeing a lot of the stuff that honestly we saw from Burt and Kennels previously. Both have shown that Echo before. Both have looked really good on it previously as well. So obviously big expectations in that situation right there as fight underway as Pun Pun already has a pulse bomb ready, by the way. Whether or not it will be utilized is quickly becoming obsolete because this fight seems pretty won.
And Pun Pun was a player yesterday that I think really impressed both me and you here, Hunter. Already being able to find a lot of value so far on this map. As 186, they'd be able to find out LCS, but this fight is already over here. So losing LCS, not necessarily the biggest deal here, as they changed their team names.
Yeah, they did. That's beautiful.
Vita Del Mar here. So far, I'm just gonna keep that as Valparaiso.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now, Valparaiso getting off to a really good start here, but LCS falling, not necessarily the biggest concern because they can get back very quickly. Pun Pun did use Pulse Bomb, weren't able to find anything, but Burt gonna be able to shut down Kinos on the other side.
Yeah, 100% copy is there. It's going to go over onto the Winston. They're going to dive and get hit with a Pulse Bomb immediately, though. So now it's just going to be exposed, cut off from the rest of the squad. So now Surreal just trying to survive, play a little bit of that Dead by Daylight. His glitch is going to triple down in this fight, going through with the Primal Rage. LCS is coming back with this speed. In fact, does have it right here and now. And they have given so much into this fight to try to pull it back. Eventually, Primal Rage has to be popped on the other side of things as well to try to sustain through. But they are starting to clean bodies up. Glitch may be cleaned away, but it is Surreal and Lamont helping with these touches right now as eventually you're going to be burnt away here. And Pun Pun senses eventually going to try to make it back on. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, Cap will come through. I mean, perseverance for both squads.
Yeah, really. A heavy investment for both squads as well. Senses, Glitch, LCS, all using ultimates in that fight for Valparaiso. Well, on the other side for Santiago, you invested a couple ultimates as well. However, you're still now in a little bit of a better spot here. You have your duplicate, you have your beat. You're not that far away from a pulse bomb. So really one early pick here for Santiago opens up a lot of potential here for them to really play a little bit freer, especially as both Pun Pun and Bert try and take these off angles and get in the backline.
Yeah, 100% as we're getting to this fight, and it is ending very, very quickly here for the Santiago side of things as you lose out on Census and Bert, though, if you're a Valparaiso, so things are going a little back and forth, but instead, we're going to see the beat being invested to try to stay alive in this one. And quick confirmation that other tank, Winston, is indeed Crow, who's in on this one right here, and going to be able to re-stabilize after Glitch takes the reset.
Yeah, and I mean, a good fight there for Santiago. Just keep everything through. Again, they lost a couple people early on that fight. Had to use 2 of their 3 ultimates here, still only holding on to a Pulse Bomb. If you're looking over now at Valparaiso, you have Pulse Bomb for yourself here. That's it. Both teams have Pulse Bombs ready to go. Do they find the value? As you already saw, I believe, Lamont sitting there in the corner trying to sneak one out, but Pun Pun, I believe, caught them out off guard there. Now, though, Santiago just looking to keep holding on at this point here. As you see, Glitch is diving right back in. Nice stick from Lamont, but won't find anything.
Yeah, eventually you're going to see Glitch fall down kind of as a result, and the big cleanups come through, and now you need a quick reset here. Senses Pun Pun need to try to get out alive, both were able to do so, and now you're going to go into this fight with the advantage of having the copy and the Pulse Bomb online.
Yeah, and you look over at the other side here for Santiago. They're going to have that Kitsune Rush ready to go here. Crow potentially could be built up to a Primal Rage here, which you're really going to need to here for Santiago, because you now look over at Valparaiso. They're already a duplicate out here. A huge Primal Rage from Bert would absolutely do numbers for them.
Yeah, it's online here, and it's going to be activated just as quickly. Pun Pun gets the big finish onto Surreal, who'll let go of that Kitsune Rush, but still be running out here as bodies beginning to fall on both sides. Blizz has their own Primal Rage now available as Point threatening to flip over here as you see Crow trying to force bodies off. Eventually gonna be able to force away LCS, but still bodies falling one after another. It's just Glitch hanging around, and somehow, someway, Santiago going to hold on to this fight. Glitch is not going to be able to survive. Point's going to cap over, and a retouch is not happening.
Yeah, not going to happen there. Really good fight there, honestly, for Santiago. And really good just round for Santiago. Again, they went down 99-0 to start that all off there. And there are multiple times where it seemed like Valparaiso was going to be able to come right in and find everything they need. Again, it seemed like every initial engagement, they won. They were able to find one or two picks early on there. But give it up to Santiago, just being able to really withstand it, be able to play down, immediately get those trades out there to make it very even. As you do see now coming into play, it's going to be a little bit of different composition here. Again, we expected to see this. We're going to play all 3 points. We're going to see three different compositions throughout this entire map here. This time around, it's going to be the Ramatra, the Bastion, Symmetra. Lucio still going to be sticking around here, but now instead on the other support, it will be the Baptiso. Watch for a lot of TP plays coming out here. I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to see here for these teams because, again, we talked about it a lot yesterday. A lot of these players maybe are only playing with each other for the first time, while some of them do have some experience. So that communication going to become very key here for both these squads.
Yeah, we know 100% right now. I mean, players with experience, you think of like LCS, Hence's Glitch, all been a part of that Pumas team in the past as... What's up?
Crow as well. I mean,
yeah,
some of the teams they've been on.
Crow. Crow's over on the other side of things right now, obviously. With Lamont, those two obviously have a lot of experience together right here. But it's going to be exciting to see the situation because even the players that we haven't been as familiar with going to the weekend, like Pun Pun, Keno, Surreal, honestly have looked fantastic.
Yeah, they really have. And I have to imagine Allenade is Poplots. Is that who Allenade is?
So, Allenade, I'm pretty sure, is supposed to be... If I'm... we're gonna go with that.
We'll figure that out later. We'll figure that out later here. But again, like you said, Pun Pun's really impresses a lot. I think Surreal is really impressive a lot in some of their maps here. Again, it's been very back and forth for some of these players as well. But Pun Pun has been really, really good in all the maps we've seen him play. And Lamont going to be able to shut down Bert here early on.
Yeah, that's a rough thing to lose early on, and this fight is just done and dusted. Nothing you can do about it. Glitch and Senses gonna have to take their respective resets, as I think Senses actually does get out alive here. But even with Kenos and Surreal going down, they should be able to get back quick enough.
Yeah, and you already see Valparaiso just getting set back up on this high ground, going to actually now rotate down to the main entrance here. I think this is a good play. You want to try to get fast. You want to have this Bastion find a lot of value here early on, but you have to be watching out for the Sim TP there from Kino, so really be able to move Lamont around here if you are Valparaiso.
Yeah, 100%. But you see the Terraform used early here, and now they're going to TP to the top and try to just force a bit of a rotation, take advantage of that high ground a little bit. Doing the job for the time being, but still nobody close to going down as Immortality Field does get expended over here. Some Santiago, as for the time being, doing a good job of just holding on the point, not overextending too much. Unfortunately, caught out early. And that is just how simple these fights can end and go down, as Burt is finding a couple of finishes, as Lamont, last one standing, is probably just going to have to eat the death here.
Yeah, Lamont trying to find one on the way out. I almost actually find Senses. That would have been a really staggering pick right there, even though it is now Valparaiso in control of the point. That would have been one that really puts this next fight for them. Maybe one where they had to just back out almost immediately, wait for LCS attacks them back in here. But you look at the ultimates now. Ant Matrix ready now for Valparaiso, and they're going to use it early at the choke as well.
Yeah, really early, and everyone just has to kind of drop out of their Surreal gone, which means you cannot push this. But now you're going to have a ton of ultimates online as well. Surreal dying super early. Obviously, you lose that ability to kind of build up towards the M-Matrix, but it really shouldn't take long to get it online.
No, it really doesn't. And we've seen Baptiste throughout these tryouts and throughout other series really be able to build those up fast here. As you just see Kino's TP Santiago in straight to the point, really going to try to force a fight here. And honestly, I don't know if we're going to see a touch come out. Yeah, it's going to be Glitch holding on that Nemesis form for a brief moment before they have to use it to keep themselves up.
Yep. Artillery Strike comes out here, and Immortality Fields have both been struck down. You see the Annihilations going through as well, both trying to sustain through, but Glitch eventually going to get the better here, has gotten rid of two, cutting through bodies. The flip going to come through here. It's a big investment here for both sides, but it goes the way, once again, of Valparaiso.
Yeah, 3 ultimates invested there by them, but hey, they all end up working out in the end. You got rid of the Amp Matrix for the other side there and the Annihilation for Santiago if you're Valparaiso. So you're really happy with that fight. But now look at it here. You're going to already see the artillery coming out here from Lamont, try to break up this high ground hold that they have at the moment. But you still have photon barriers ready to go here, as you already see Santiago investing in just a split point.
Yeah, 100% you do, and now 66% already online on the board. Eventually, that photon barrier is going to run out. Is Beat going to come on? LCS, remember, used it the fight before, so not going to be available anytime soon. Glitch doesn't have the extra sustainability. It's going to flip over at 75%, and from here, it feels like you need to just take the resets as fast as possible.
Yeah, and it looks like, honestly, Santiago is going to give it to them here. They're not really going to stagger anyone out here. I think that's actually a right move to do at this point. Even though you would like to do it, you don't want to end up having that one person sticking around find someone out. But you look at the ultimates coming in this next engagement. Santiago, they don't have anything. Senses, though, going to have their Amp Matrix, so they has to be used very, very smartly here. Sim TPs are going to become very vital here for both these teams. You already see Valparaiso go straight in. The Immortality Field invested early, and Surreal does get that off.
Yeah, but you are seeing some level of trades as Crow is incredibly low and the rest of their squad is falling apart over on the point. But Glitch and LCS, the only ones remaining. It's a straight 2v2 right now, as just trying to punch away, trying to find ways to survive. LCS has a beat ready to go, but it's going to be good for this final fight coming up here. And now, because the way the rotations have been, it is heavy in Valparaiso's favor.
Yeah, I mean, look, artillery, annihilation, beat ready to go here. The only thing you might have ready to go for Santiago will be your own artillery and your own Amp Matrix here. You're going to have to really find a way to get in, though. Find some space for Lamont to really get some damage early on in this fight. But right now, if you're Valparaiso, you just need to play safe. Play smart, as you already see the artillery coming out from Burt. Not going to be able to find anyone early, but does do some damage.
Yeah, try to force something out there, as Glitch and LCS only one's going to get the beat out on that one, but it looks like it might be enough. Glitch does get burned down, though, so chance of staying alive. But Crow, last one standing, would love to be able to find a flip, extend the clock a little bit, but unfortunately, it's just too much damage to deal with. LCS gets the final blow. Second round going the way of Valparaiso right there, and it's a really back and forth affair, but it ultimately does come down to the ult economy. And that's such a difficult fight to try to pull back from if you are Santiago.
Yeah, especially if you're Santiago, you didn't have time on your side. You didn't have that much percentage to really give up there. You really need Lamont to build up to that artillery, Surreal to really be able to find some value with that annihilation. I mean, with the Amp Matrix, which hey, they did. They were able to get rid of Glitch going into that in the last fight. But again, the damage were already done by that point there. But now heading into the third and final point of our first map here, gonna be a decider one. Sometimes going into the third point, it's already been decided who wins the map. But hey, at least this one we're gonna be playing as traditional Overwatch as possible here. But you look at the decisions for both these teams: Sigma, Sojourn, Iari, Kiriko, and Vendetta. I think right now, Hunter, this is actually a pretty standard comp that you could see on this map, maybe minus the Lucio, but outside that, I feel like we have seen essentially these 4 or 5 players or heroes play on this map in the past.
You know, we 100% have at some point or another. They just have that level of effectiveness. And while this is going to be obviously a lot of poke compositions, this is going to be a weird situation for Pun Pun and Kenos in this situation, because when you think of the Vendetta, you think of pairing it together with stuff like the Zarya, like the Tracer, like even like the Lucio, even to that extent. Yeah, exactly. You don't have those usual combinations that you typically have with the Vendetta, so that individual skill is going to shine even more here.
Yeah, and again, we've been seeing all 10 heroes here play all 10 players play 3 different heroes throughout this map, and they've all done good so far on it. I think, again, the Vendettas are going to be very important here for the first couple, probably months of these tryouts or of World Cup competition. So you're going to need to have someone who's good on it here. But already one healing pylon down, as it's going to be Santiago that loses here pretty early on.
Yeah, 100%, and you just see them fall apart just like that. But I think oh, Glitch gets sent sailing, and to be fair, this technically keeps this alive, but Kenos just needs to be smart, take the reset, because they will technically get back a little quicker.
They will, and again, no speed, so you're going to be seeing teams both walk in very slowly here, especially with the tanks, but it doesn't necessarily hurt Valparaiso here. They're going to be able to come in at the same speed that you're seeing Santiago come in. No ultimates ready to go this fight. Senso could really build up to the Kitsune Rush here during this fight, which, again, I think if you get that for them, you probably should just pop it almost immediately. Give your team that advantage, really force Santiago into a spot where you already see him rotating the entire map.
Yeah, already. And now we'll see what comes to form. Glitch gets hit with the accretion and is going to be able to kind of stay alive at the end of the day. But still, you have to eventually, you know, if you are, you know, Crow side, you eventually have to try to take a little bit of space here, because you were consistently getting forced back. You need to find the finish onto somebody, but Crow and Lamont are just getting burnt away right here, as we're already at 50%, and it feels like we haven't really gone anywhere quite yet. Pun Pun maybe overplaced their hands. It opens up the door.
Yeah, you said there, we're already at 50%. This is the second team fight. This has been a really slow round for both these two teams, as you start to see Valparaiso just clean up this fight here already. I mean, yeah, you lose Pun Pun, but everyone else there pretty low, but you lose Glitch now. I mean, you need to clean up this fight as fast as you can if you're Valparaiso, as you should expect to see Santiago come back in very quickly, especially with the ultimates they have. The moment they have 3-4 members in, they're going to be going.
Yeah, no hesitation needed here, but 75%, final fight very much online here now, and you have a lot going into it. Obviously, the Kitsune Rush is available, Senses used theirs during the previous fight as well, so you have that advantage to work with, but you need to put yourself in the right position to do so, as the flip's going to come through for free, but Bird's already taken care of one here with the overclock, was deadly with it yesterday, and is producing those results out the gate here as well, as the point's going to flip back over with Lamont's late death. This is a bum rush to the point, and Kenos is the only real touch here.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you know, we hadn't heard from Bird a lot or said their name a lot throughout this round here. Flux coming out early, captures 4.
Yeah, and you kind of see Kenos trying to rush around into the back line, wants to try to force some kind of touch over here, and it is going to not come to form, unfortunately. So that'll end our first map here, and it's a good showing to finish things off for everybody over on the side of Valparaiso. At the end of the day, again, it's a bit of an awkward cup to work with, but that poke game is so important at the end of the day. And Bert ends up popping off near the end to kind of finish things out. But I think everyone over on this side looked great. I mean, I don't think that's an exaggeration whatsoever.
Yeah, and you talk about the little bit of the awkwardness in that composition in that last map. You're really forcing the Vendetta to play a little bit differently when you play it with the Sigma. You're forcing them to almost play a little bit more defensively with it, where they really have to be in coordination with their Sigma's accretions rather than with dives or rather than with bubbles, because they're really trying to clean up those people that get knocked down by those rocks from Sigma there. And again, you saw great plays coming out from the Sojourns. Like I said, Bird got a good play there to really end that map. It hadn't necessarily called their name a lot, which is a rare thing considering, like you said, we saw him pop off multiple times yesterday. Support lines, I think they did great. I mean, this was a really close map here to get the night started.
Yeah, and I like that. That's what you want to see at the end of the day, because we've had a trend throughout, honestly, everything that I've seen over the course of the weekend, where it feels like one team just kind of starts really strong, and things kind of, as the course of the series goes on, everything really evens out. So I like that we've kind of started in the situation where things look pretty even. Everyone's doing good to get things going. But obviously, we'll see how things develop, because obviously there is obviously more than 10 players out there. We're going to see players switching in and out quite a bit. It's not going to be as chaotic as the first couple of days, obviously. Less people. You're probably going to see players be together a little more consistently, especially you have these roles where there's a lot less people involved. You think of main support, you think of hit scan as well, where these players are pretty much going to be going at it against each other throughout the entire night.
Yeah, just to touch on that here. What Hunter's saying, we only know that there are 2 hit scans and 2 main support players left on the roster that they've given us for tonight. So we would expect to see them all night long. Other than that, every other role has at least 3. So you'll be seeing a lot of players swap in here. We expect to probably see both tanks swap out, both flex DPS swap out, and only one of the other supports swap out, as there are 3 flex supports here. So 1 flex support should be staying in going into our next map here. But again, you're going to be seeing the teams swap up here. It won't still be the same couple players that have played with each other in map 1 going into map 2.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see how much end up swapping, but obviously with the slot that are 2, they're basically going to be in the entirety of the night. But we're talking about that. We're seeing some level of swaps right here. Pakovic's coming in over on tank. We see Zeus is coming in to go and play that flex support. I did not catch the supports, but if you did,
did not
be helpful. Well, we'll find out here in a minute. Don't worry. We'll get there when we get there.
It was up for only a brief moment, but I mean, I'll say this. We saw Zeus a decent amount yesterday. It really seemed like they were consistent throughout the entire night. Yeah, they had a couple maybe bad fights in a row on some of the maps we saw them, but they were still a name that we were calling out a decent amount, especially going up against some of the flex DPS that is also on that line. Pun, Kinos, Nero, who I don't think we see coming in on the second map, but again, they were able to really hold their own against some really good flex DPS players.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, went up against the very best that even, again, some of those big names that we've seen that have been popping off all weekend was taking it to them. So, obviously, you're hoping to go into today with that kind of consistency. Obviously, they're still here in the lineup for a good reason. I think Zeus really proved themselves a lot yesterday. And I think Pakovic kind of goes to that light as well, because maybe, I don't think didn't have the best day one, but I think brought in a really good source of consistency yesterday to kind of keep themselves in the tank pool. But obviously, we saw Crow and Glitch already. Pakovic's coming in. Dreams we're going to see a little bit later on tonight, I'm sure. But it's going to be really interesting to keep seeing their flexibility, because at this point I feel pretty confident as to where everyone's strengths lies. But again, depending if you're going to go down that solo tank or 2-tank route, flexibility is going to be a very key factor.
Yeah, and that was something me and you talked about. We're going to kind of break away from maybe just what we expect Team Chile to do and more what we expect a lot of these teams to probably do when it comes to these tryouts. I think both me and you kind of stuck on the agreement of you take 2 tanks, but then after that, it's the hard choice. Do you take 3 DPS players? Do you take 3 support players? I'm leaning more towards support players, because I feel like you want to be able to have a little bit more flexibility at that role, but you can easily make a really good argument for having 3 DPS players as well.
Yeah, you can. You can make a big argument in the case like that, which, by the way, my stream caught up, so I can say the names. Hee hee ha ha. I didn't look like we have any swaps going around, though. I think they just swapped sides. But yeah, it's going to be weird what we expect certain teams to do, because there might be different mentalities between different teams, where some teams may say, oh, we have a specialist tank that we love, but we want someone else around to have that extra flexibility. We'll see what ends up being the case. Is obviously, we will go into our second map of the evening. We're going to see, well, never mind. I've been gaslit. I have been bamboozled.
That was Shimbali, and I believe I saw before we got pulled back out, it was Zarya and Cassidy bans. So it looks like there are bans in place this map. That means the teams have free reign to play whatever compositions or whatever heroes they want going into this one. So now you're looking at it as more of these teams are going to have these quick conversations with everyone saying, hey, what do you want to play? Especially on a map like Shambali. Zarya being banned out, normally really strong. Could definitely see the Domina come in here. We saw it a little bit last night in our show match between Costa Rica and Puerto Rico. Finally get some good play. But yesterday, though, in Team Chile tryouts, the Domina really only lasted 1 or 2 lives before saying, yeah, we just can't play it. So you could see Sigma coming back out here. Diva, Winston, definitely a possibility. And yeah, that's what you do see here. Some swaps coming around. Looks like Nika is coming in this time around. Zeus, as you said, coming in. Pakovic, the other one in as well. Outside of that, no one else really making any subs this time coming into map number 2. But like I said, you expected to see the Sigma. You're seeing that right now from Valparaiso. On the other side for Santiago, you still see Crow rocking the Winston here, which I think is a really nice move. Lamont going to be sticking with the Widow probably for 1 shot and then swapping back over to maybe what you're seeing Bert play here on this Ashe, maybe going back over to the Soj, especially as attacking. I feel like you want a little bit more mobility. So the Soj might be the way to go here. Does Nika stay on the Cat?
I mean, to be fair, I've been seeing a small amount of the Cat throughout the weekend. I think it got displayed briefly. I think Nika was one of the people to pull it out briefly yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Which, to be fair,
on as well.
Yeah, Nika, Fika, it's it goes together. It rhymes for a reason. But I'll be happy to see it as Pakovic is going on a journey right now. Just in the Doomfist spot currently.
Just making sure the shingles are good, man. You know, snowy environment, shingles, they don't last that long, especially in cold, damp, wet environments. Want to just make sure they're all good so that whatever that building is that they're in or above doesn't necessarily have a roof leak. But no, looks like Lamont 1 shot on the Widowmaker, but now look at Crow going over to the Bolt instead. I like this, especially with the composition you are seeing of Valparaiso play. One that, especially what senses on this Ana, could be punished very, very quickly. Lamont, though, 1 shot on the Widow, over to the Tracer. And I think you're getting a lot of good intel here from Crow that led to that swap.
Yeah, 100%. Having that little bit of info. Sometimes you'll see people come out on Hanzo just to have the initial shot so they know who is on what and they can make that swap immediately. But Crow going to go down early in the chaos. It's working to a degree. That card has kind of gone through that first little corner right there, and it's going to force everybody into weird areas. Nika trying to get out alive, does not get cut down as Lamont has finished off 2. So suddenly, it's a problem for Valparaiso to pull this one back, because all they can really do is just stall out his Bert. It's the last one standing.
Yeah, I mean, it started off really good there for Valparaiso, but you leave Lamont, you leave Kinos in that backline to kind of have free reign, do whatever they want, and you saw what happened there. I mean, you're even seeing, we didn't even mention this. I mean, Lamont is listed as a hit scan, but they're playing flex here. They're showing a little bit more flexibility, especially with potential having Bert as maybe the hit scan for this team. Having Lamont play these hit scan or flex DPS players could be really, really good for their chance of making this team, as Lamont already finding Bert out again early.
Yeah, massive pick early on. Zeus just gets booped out of there. Will be taken care of as well. Pull Pump going to stick for Lamont. Trying to get this thing cleared out very quickly. And with Pakovic down, the Cat's hanging around, but unfortunately not going to be able to stall out. That's a really quick take here for Santiago. This comp, obviously very chaotic, but it's chaotic for a good reason.
Chaotic and fast. That's really the name of the game with it here for them. And it's something that you look over the other side now for Valparaiso. You have to get Pakovic off the Sigma. They're going over to the Diva instead. Want to be able to maneuver a little bit more. Want to be able to build some space here, because Crow's been able to kind of dictate the space, dictate the tempo of this entire map so far.
Yeah, no, 100% has been able to. And you see Crow get in and out very quickly in that exchange right there. LCS is the first to go down, though, so potentially stemming a little bit of that bleeding here, trying to build up some of these ultimates while you're getting out. Kenos is going to have the Blade coming up for the next fight. He's not going to be able to get out, though, so we'll see the big reset come through. As for the first time, really, so far, you're going to see Valparaiso kind of stop the momentum.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was a really good retake there by Santiago, and especially, no, my bad, for Valparaiso. You needed that pick there from Bert to get something going. Bert had been really struggling so far this map. 1 kill now, still 2 deaths, but you look at the ultimates coming up here. You're going to have Catnap ready to go for both sides. You already called Blade here for Kinos, which, again, no beat on the other side. This more just comes down to, could you potentially see the Cat ultimate used to really negate the Blade?
Yeah, that's what we're going to have to see here, because obviously you can potentially negate it. You would be out of strike range from the blade as well while you were being pulled.
Oh.
But either way, we're seeing a bit of an investment here, and unfortunately, this isn't really going to get anything but try to buy a little bit of space, flip the map a little bit, honestly. See the separation over onto Crow right now as Burt is going to get that first blow within this fight. Mine's going to come out. It's going to cause separation as the catnap comes through, as poor Crow cannot do a thing about it. And this is going to even things back out, stop a lot of that crazy momentum that you've seen so far, as Nika being taken care of, again, is going to stop him.
Yeah, I mean, only one ultimate invested there by Santiago. Not necessarily the worst, but at the same time, 2 ultimates invested there by Valparaiso. I mean, Zeus invested that blade very early on in the fight, and you even mentioned it. They really struggled to find anyone. Really good communication there by Santiago just to get away from it. And now you see Crow getting off the ball, use mines last fight, going over to match the D.Va. I think you need that here. I think D.Va's really starting to come to a good spot, being able to shut down that ball, especially with a lot of good communication, as Kinos being taken for a ride.
Yeah. But either way, Zeus can be the first one to go down within this exchange. It's going to open up the door once more for Santiago to make their way into this one. And they have plenty of tools to be able to do it as well. And Pakovic is going to use the bomb to sustain and be able to take another fight. And honestly, that had to be used right there because they need to be able to play around for one more fight.
Kitsune Rush coming out there from Senses might be one you really want back, especially with the cart being pushed up here. Now Pakovic not even really going to be able to take a lot of space, just has to fly back to the safety of their team, but Zeus finding LCS out early is huge.
It is, and Burt only able to get one of that change. Everyone else just going to kind of hide away near the cliffside right here, and they should be able to sustain long enough for Crow to get back on that D.Va, as Pakovic also on that D.Va as well. So we'll see. And the catnap ready to go for Nika, but who's a genuine target you could even go for here?
Anyone at this point. You could go for Pakovic to try and get them out of the fight. You could go for Zeus. You could go, honestly, for the other cat. Blade, though, out now from Kinos.
Yep, and is going to hopefully get at least one target right here, but Burt shuts him down right there. It does buy a little bit of space to work with, but I don't think it's going to be enough ultimately, as Crow knocked out of the mech is at least very least going to be reset here quickly, as Nika trying to run for it and is running for their life. At least I believe should be able to get out of here. I'm not sure where they're at, though.
They got out. They're alive here. But again, I think this is one of the more interesting things with Jetpack Cat. The fact that their ultimate's so heavily dependent on being able to find one person out and confirm the kill without really endangering themselves here. Because if Nika goes in, tries to pull one out, they basically open themselves up to Burt being able to land a railgun shot on them, which is one thing you do not want to have happen here, especially in something that could be final fight.
Yeah, no, 100%. You see that catnap coming through. It's going to pull somebody away, and it's going to be Nika's pulled away. But either
Nika's
way,
not using it to pull.
Yeah, it's just taking over on Zeus. Unfortunately, Zeus is the one person that's probably going to be able to survive through that whole exchange, as, again, you see the cleanup as Nika shut down, and now Final Fight territory, and you just have a pair of bombs in your hand now.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're Nika, unless they're being told to play the cat here, I would have made the swap. It really seemed like teams were giving a little bit of free reign of what to play going into this map. We knew the bans were Zarya and Cass, but I would have really gone off the cat here. Unless you're just looking to have it be your touch, I don't think the cat's necessarily going to help you out here. You have to watch out for Sundering Blade, though, for Zeus, because one pick from that opens up a lot for Valparaiso.
Yeah, gonna make some room over here. Needs to stay through. The cleanse is time for a moment there, but now you gotta let this bomb buy some space for you. Remake is gonna be able to come online. Lamont has that pulse bomb ready to go. Still has it. The recall, though, is in a really rough position, and they're just running out of time, running out of health, running out of options. So without that pulse bomb in hand, Pakovic gonna try to get out of there. Eventually is gonna go into the investment because they realize the bomb is ready to go. Someone has to force touch, and Crow gonna be knocked out of the mech, as this thing surely is going to be taken care of. Kenos does get rid of one, and unfortunately Lamont not going to be back in time for a touch. So that's an incredible stop, because the moment Valparaiso was able to stop them in place, I mean, Santiago got next to no real progress.
Yeah, and it really comes down to just the slight swaps we saw there from them. Pakovic getting off of the Sigma, going over to the D.Va instead. It forced swaps from Crow, and after that, it didn't find the value you were truly looking for there. And I was looking at the stats right before that round ended. Pakovic, I believe, after they made that swap to the D.Va, didn't die at all. They were really able to just hold their positioning well. Like I said, you want to be able to take space with that Sigma, especially going up against a quick-moving Wrecking Ball like we saw from Crow that started that round. It was going to be difficult for you. You also saw Lamont find a lot of value on the Tracer. Kinos did what they needed to do there. Looks like, honestly, if you ask me, I feel like the support lines are the only things locked in, considering we're still going to see cats from both sides. Again, this is me assuming that is the case. We do know there's bans. And other than that, we have seen some swaps, but we could just see one team get rid of the cat here as well. But Pakovic trying to decide, what do they play here? Do they stick with the D.Va? Honestly, I would. You look over to the other side for Santiago. They're on that Ramatra. They want to be a little bit more sustainable here. As you see, LCS and Nika actually swap what heroes they were playing. And now Crow does as well, going over to the Sigma. I really want to see that Ramatra, actually, as you do kind of see Pakovic probably talking it over with their team of, hey, who should I go with here? Should I go back to the D.Va? Should I go back to the Sigma? I think they have good options either way.
I think they do as well. And I think you obviously want to see both, because you saw a little bit more of that Sigma from Crow earlier. And I think it's going to be a lot more effective and fair to see them in the situation where they actually have a situation where they have everyone that is a pure poke right now. Obviously, you have the cat as well, and Nika's going to be able to run around and help you wherever you want to go. So I'm excited to see what this is going to bring to get things going right here as, again, double cat. Interesting to see as Pakovic just got to kind of sit on that cart for now.
I like the idea there, actually, from Valparaiso. Alane picked up Bird and just carried them to the off angle, but Kinos was the only one there to kind of stop him from doing that. If that play actually works out, Burke gets that off angle pretty early on, as you already see Kinos take care of the other sword wielder in this map right now, of Zeus.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that is a fantastic pick to get this early on right here. It gives you no real ability to get any momentum if you're Valparaiso. As you see all the angles they are taking, even if you run up to this high ground, the best you're going to do is clear it off. No one's going to put themselves in too vulnerable. Yeah, literally speaking of running up, flying up might be the more appropriate term.
But it works. Bert finds Lamont out, and now you have Pakovic here just be able to build a lot of space. This is working out extremely well. You might lose Zeus. Okay, never mind. This is working out horribly. Bail.
Yeah, literal bail time. You're getting a bit more progress, but that's where it's going to end as Bert just gets sliced down mid-air as senses the respawns have come through, is going to be able to turn around and get out of there alive as, yeah, they mutual respect, like, yeah, we know you're getting out. Let's just reset.
Just juking each other out there. No one can hit a shot. Yeah, okay, we're just going to move on to the next fight here. But again, really good re-engagement or retake there by Santiago to really be able to slow them down there, especially since they found a good opening pick. But again, Zeus, already low on health, needs to play their life here for a moment, as you do see Santiago actually forcing themselves to fall back here.
Yep, 100%. So you're going to be able to play for this next corner over here. You're trying to come up to anything here in this fight, but, I mean, they're ahead of you in a lot of aspects right now, especially you're going to have Sigma ready to go in this one, as Leech barely going to get out of there alive. Going to have to try to pull their fifth back over into the fight. This is just a poke game, but to be fair, if you're Santiago, you're fine with this. Keep playing the poke game, as the Grid of Flux going to come out online, gets pulled down momentarily, is still going to catch on to, and is going to start finding body after body.
I mean, Sense is coming in there. Landed a really nice Suzu, but put themselves in a really bad spot. TP'd in, you lose Pac. You're now going to have to see Bert and Alane just kind of back out here. No real reason to see them stick around in this fight. However, you got one ultimate out from the other side. However, that doesn't necessarily matter. This has not been the best round for Zeus. Again, they're still building up to their first Sundering Blade. There's about a minute left in this round. They've struggled immensely, but you have Annihilation, you have your own Consumer Rush. Catnaps this time around might actually be able to find some value just by throwing people off the side of the map. Lamont, though, going to make sure Bob is going to be a part of this fight.
Yeah, and Berg gets separated. I honestly almost should have gone down right here, as we see the Catnap from LCS. See if it does anything, but at the end of the day, we see plenty of bodies already down, as, again, the momentum is completely stemmed. As 50 minutes left, this is becoming rough for the Paraiso side.
Yeah, but if you're Valparaiso, you got two more ultimates out from Santiago there. You're still holding on to all yours. Granted, that really means you're putting yourself into an ult dump kind of fight, but you'll take that at this point. You'll take an ult dump fight if it gets you that first point, able to keep you alive here, but you can't lose Alane.
Oh, and that's rough. And now Kinos is going to go in with this blade. It has helped get rid of more and more bodies. Annihilation's gone, and now Cat, the only one to get out here. And now I mean, at the very least, the cart rolled back a little bit, so the touch isn't going to be as difficult, but still, you're going to have to get somebody on there.
Hope and a prayer right now for Burt to absolutely pop off with this overclock here. Catnap out. I don't think it landed on anyone. The ultimate wasted.
Yeah, and now it is down to Burt to clutch this one up. Pakovic, in fact, we don't even have a touch here. No one's actually going to even get to this point because no one goes around for it. So that's just, it's a pure shutdown. Like, open and shut. It's unfortunate, obviously. But,
yeah,
man, this ability to just completely stem that momentum is insane.
Yeah, and remember how good Santiago got started off in that first one where they attacked. Really got the ball rolling fast, capped the first point very fast, but then you saw a couple swaps come out there from Valparaiso, slowed them down, stopped them essentially in their tracks there. You didn't see the swaps though come out there from Valparaiso in their attacking round. They did so good on the defensive round. They really need to start making some swaps a little bit early. I have to believe that the support line was told to play what they were playing there because we need to see a little bit more from really the Cats, in my opinion. Yeah, they probably did a lot of healing, but you really need a little bit more impact from your support line there to really help out your entire team.
Yeah, you really do. And again, you have to see that level of flexibility. That's just how things are in the situation. But obviously, there are some times where, the cat's not always going to work in situations like this. When you think of things like, like specifically you look at something like the Ramatra, you think of pairing up a Lucio with it. You have that extra speed, working with that, God, I wanted to call it Rampage. It's not Rampage. That Nemesis form of the Annihilation. It is really convenient to work with. But I imagine they're going to be given a little more flexibility kind of as things continue on. But obviously, they want to see specific players on specific stuff this early on. And to be fair, that's just what you need to see as a coach. Open and shut.
Yeah, absolutely. Now heading into our third map of the night. Again, we probably expect to see some players come in, some players go out. We only saw 3 players come in this last map. Glitch and Dreams going to be in on tank. Lamont, Nero, Burt, Pun, your DPS, Alanage, Surreal, LCS, Senses. So I still think you're seeing a lot of people come in. I believe Dreams and Nero are playing their first maps of the night. Outside of that, I think we've seen everyone else here going into our third map of the night. I didn't catch what it was, but we should be going in momentarily.
Yeah, it might have been Cerbus. I don't know. I'm not going to gaslight the crowd. I'm going to keep it a buck. We're going to assume that we'll be wrong.
No, let's gaslight them.
But Nourishing is someone that I'm really excited to see in this instance first time tonight. I think one of those people that has really shown up in this instance right here has given themselves a real fighting chance against some of the names that have kind of been around as well for quite a little while. So I'm excited to see what they can do in this scenario, and being able to kind of work together in this instance, it's just going to be nice at the end of the day. I can go in circles and circles saying this about every single player, but it has to be said because at the end of the day, we want the best 7 out there, and maybe we don't know who the best 7 really is, and maybe we feel differently about it once things are done right now than we do now.
Yeah, me and you might have 2 different 7s. The coaching staff, the people who are putting this team together might have a different 7 all lined up. I feel like though, me and you kind of have, I'm going to say probably at least 2 people that we would consider to be locks for the team. We're not going to say who they are. We are not going to say who they are. We're going to keep that to ourselves because again, we are casters for a reason. We are normally wrong about a lot of the stuff that we could potentially see and do see. But we're still seeing a lot of good play from these players. I think especially cutting down today, there are definitely a couple players that me and you talked about after the tryouts yesterday that struggled, especially in the last couple maps. But I think what you have left is really the best players of Chile.
I think it really is. I think these are the players that showed, at the very least, very good glimpses of what they can do and playing at the highest level when it comes to everyone of the Chilean descent. Like that's what you want to see. And ultimately, obviously, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to that 7. But obviously, that is up to the coaches, to the staff as to how that's going to go down. But you have a reason to feel good about every single person that is still over on this roster. And obviously, Neuroshin going to this first map of the night for them obviously needs to show up as well, because I think you've seen some really good performances earlier on, obviously with Pun, with Burt and Lamont and Kennel showing what they can do in their own rights as well, Zeus for that matter too. So you have to go in here, be locked in, because as far as we are concerned, as far as we know, this is going to be the last real opportunity, the last day to show what you can do, and it's so meaningful. It cannot be exaggerated.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. During that, I don't know if you saw the clean feed we're getting, but Peepo was animated about something.
I did see that. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but
I don't know what's going on either, but they were animated about something there. But yeah, again, you want to have the best seven. However, again, we could see a team be formed here and announced in the next week. But with friendly matches, you could see still some players rotate in and out. I wouldn't say when we see whatever seven they announce, that's the final one, but it would be pretty close to it here. Again, whenever we do head into our third map of the night, it's gonna be really interesting to see what we see play because again, Neuro and Dream are coming in. They're also coming in on the same team, so everyone else would have a game under the belt, a map or two under their belt. So you're going to see one of these teams have a full squad of players that have at least played a map, be warmed up, ready to go. Dreams is going to have to come in and really hit the ground running here to help out their team. Actually, hey, we don't have the gaslight anymore. It's going to be Blizzard World going into our next map. And if this is the case, I feel like it's going to be something where we see bans come back out. If we figure out what the bans are, we will say. But other than that, it's going to be the teams picking what they want to play.
yeah, I assume that's what the route we're gonna go down, and with Surreal in as well, it's gonna be really interesting to see in this instance as well. Again, one of the few flex sports left in this instance, so obviously exciting to see what the case is going to be. Something that is worth kind of bringing up as well is when we were looking at the main sport and flex sports category throughout the weekend, there were some players that were in both categories. And it feels like we've narrowed it down to, hey, we think this person is best as main support, this person's best as flex support, and we'll see. We've been seeing that pretty much throughout the day already, as we're already getting things going, and looking over, seeing it, this feels a little more in line with what you would expect.
Yeah, divas for both sides. You see the hit scans playing a Soj and a Cass. Neuro showing us the Echo, which they played really well yesterday. Pun on this sim, though, especially on the offensive side or the attacking side, going to be really interesting to see because TP is going to be something you expect here. However, that support line and really everyone on the other side for Valparaiso, very mobile outside of Lamont, so that might be who you're looking to TP on top of.
Yeah, and they're going to TP this high ground, and you're going to have to run for it if you're Lamont, nearly getting taken out, but get a little bit of care from both of your supports. But unfortunately, Dreams knocked out of the mech early on. This is going to make it really tough to bring this one back around, as LCS at least going to get traded out, so you're keeping some hope alive over here as Bert trying to go on the hunt for Neuroshin, who is just barely hanging on by a thread right now, as you see the rotation trying to finish some bodies off. But so far, Valparaiso is doing a really good job of staying this one, as Bert gonna find the finish in time, but still it is pure chaos as nothing is decided quite yet.
Nothing's decided quite yet, but you're starting to see Santiago actually find some picks here right now. Going to be sending Valparaiso back to their own spawn. So this should be Santiago getting the first point here. Going to be able to start to push phase. A really good engagement from them. Again, like you said, a little bit chaotic, a little bit all over the place. But that's a really costly pick right there because it staggers now Valparaiso coming in this next engagement. Granted, the spawn point's not that far away for Neuro, so they should be able to get back pretty quickly. But it gives now Santiago a lot of free space here just to kind of build some momentum, take some space as well for free, especially when you look at the ultimates coming up here. They're gonna have this overclock. Maybe next time.
Yeah, next time. You know, overclock next fight. Lock in. But Neuroshin, I think, making up for that last step a little bit right there. Gonna stem some momentum. That card obviously still rolling forward as Neuroshin gets rid of another glitch. Almost knocked out of the mech. He's gonna barely stay in it for right now. He's going to be able to get a little bit of care. Needs to wait for Senses to get back, but that means you're going to have a lot coming up here. Kitsune Rush available in it. You're going to have it ready in time as well. You're 25% whole ahead right now.
Yeah, and again, I gotta give Valparaiso a lot of credit there. I thought the one pick on the Neuro show was gonna slow them down a lot, give up a lot of space to Santiago, but they come in, find an early pick onto Bert, TP up there on the high ground. Bert now with the overclock as Deadeye out from Lamont.
Ooh, yeah, weird trade right here. Neuro on that Diva, gonna try to run down bodies. You're gonna double down with the orbital ray as well, and while you are eventually knocked out of the mech, if you are Neuroshin, gonna try to remech, will be able to do so as Glitch, barely hanging on by a thread, is gonna opt to use the bomb right here. Everyone gonna barely pull that corner in time as Glitch gonna be able to remech into it as well. So ult's getting used plentifully, but still you have the Kitsune Rush ready over on the side of Valparaiso. The question of whether you pull it is questionable as the bomb just gets chucked out there at the last second and everyone has to run for the cover.
But everyone stays alive through now. Kitsune Rush coming out here from Valparaiso. Same thing with the the photon barrier from Pun. That gives a lot of space here now to Santiago to push forward.
Yeah, and Glitch is still out of that mech right now, so needs to try to build back up to it right now. You see in the backline, Lamont trying to take a little bit of pressure. Would love to be able to get rid of Glitch before that remech comes through. It just doesn't seem like it's realistically going to happen. Glitch right around the corner from having it. is just going to opt to play a little safe right now. Barely gets back in as I try to come through, and now with Glitch back over in the mech, they are going to get ran down. Dreams demeched as well. Lamont in a rough situation, hanging from high. And at this point, it feels like you need to get a reset in.
Yeah, you really need to get a reset here. You're still pushing the cart a little bit, though, right now, if you're Santiago. So they're still going ahead as planned. No ultimates ready, though, for Valparaiso. You will have Pulse Mount at some point, but there's going to be nothing for Santiago here. So this is a pretty dry fight here, but I like what you're seeing Glitch do. Take some space, force some pressure there onto Alnade, and that's actually going to get you a point for free.
Yeah, that is a rough situation. Now you have 4 minutes going to this next fight, and Surreal drops as well. That is rough, and now you're probably going to see an all-out bum rush to try to get whoever else you can, because there are bodies low as heck as they are falling apart one at a time. Neuroshin eventually going to be cornered. Dream's the only one to get out alive, and in fact doesn't even get out with the mech.
Oh. And do they run in a spawn, swap, just get back in the mech? Yeah, that's going to be the case here, unless they stick on this Winston, which looks like they're going to stick on the Winston, actually. I don't hate this move from them. It allows them to maybe play a little bit more aggressively here, but you don't have that necessarily good dive partner. You don't have that necessarily good dive partner with you. You have the Echo, yeah, they can dive with you, but you really don't want to see him following the Winston that much.
Yeah, you don't. As Dreams is just already gone. Bert's taking care of 2 already. Obviously, a little bit of help with that Kitsune Rush as Glitch able to help clear things out as well. 3 minutes left over on the clock. They're looking good right now. You have a copy and an orbital ray around the corner, so you have something to work with here.
Yeah, and that copy is getting to find some value. The orbital ray, we've seen them be very much hit or miss here for the Chile tryouts, no matter who's using them. But you immediately see Dreams diving right back in. Cannot be taken out pretty early on here again, but nice TP by Pun Pun. Really just getting everyone out from that initial dive.
Yeah, no, 110%. And now you go in the situation where now you have to beat out the overclock ready to go for Bert here. Wants to make them a little bit more expensive with Glitch so close to going out. You can only peek so far. You're not going to have as much care as Neuroshin going to move everybody forward. Going to be knocked over out of the mech and out of the copy for that matter, but will be able to stay alive as Glitch has the bomb in hand. Lamont, though, has the bomb to be able to stem some of that momentum away. I think might be able to think of using it aggressively, and aggressive it will be as they'll be interrupted momentarily. Bomb forced out as it's not going to catch on to anybody. Lamont playing a little bit of the 80 strafe to stay alive right there. And with Senses down, fight taken care of. And now 4 minutes has quickly become 2.
Yeah, and I mean, just a good job here by Valparaiso to really slow down a lot of the momentum. The Winston didn't necessarily work on the first life for Dreams, but it started to find its value after that, especially just being able to take a lot of attention away from that DPS line. Lamont and Nero starting to really get a good groove going here. Pun Pun will have Photon Barrier, but you look over at the other side, Dreams doesn't necessarily worry about that much. The lightning goes straight through it. You're really looking at everyone else here. Alnade does have that Consumer Rush here to go, so once you start seeing Valparaiso,
yeah, that's just pretty early on right here. And now you see Dreams kind of in there aggressively for, I think, honestly, for no reason. And now this opens the door back up. 120 left on the clock, and you're coming up to double support ultimates, and Dream needs to get back because everyone else has got to just throw their body on. Nershin going to be the first to do it. Surreal, Lamont, Alanade all around the corner, but unfortunately, no one can get back there. That is a bit of a misplay as Santiago just take full advantage.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about Pun Pun's Photon Barrier there for a brief moment, because I thought that was a mistake. I thought they meant to kind of split the actual path that the cart would go there with it, but instead they split off from an angle. And again, Dreams diving into it was a little bit questionable. Actually, a lot questionable, but that Photon Barrier, I think it baited Dreams into it. They saw that maybe the same thing I thought, that it was a little bit of a mistake. They jumped into it thinking, okay, hey, if I force them out, I'm going to be helping my team out a lot. But no, instead, they just forced themselves into an early grave and something that Valparaiso was not able to really come back from. Now, as we swap sides, looks like we're going to be still seeing almost essentially the same exact comps. Pun Pun, are you really going to play the Torb? Are you really going to play the Torb?
You know
what? I'll believe it.
Yeah,
I'll believe
at this
it.
point, I'll believe anything at this point, genuinely.
Yeah, no, they're playing the Torb. They're seriously playing the Torb here. Okay, but again, I think this is not necessarily the worst comp here for Santiago. The Torb, if it finds its value, especially with someone like Dream, someone like Alanade and Surreal, who might want to be getting all those flank angles, giving them a little bit of damage to allow their team to really clean them up here, would be a smart thing, but you really have to be on your communication here now for Santiago to make sure Pun Pun's in a good spot. Bert also swapping over to Freya that we know him very well for. I like this swap here for them. Valparaiso still waiting on Neuro to make us a pick here. Probably still expecting the Echo coming out here for them, because outside of that, they've looked really good this map.
Yeah, no, they look fantastic. And obviously, we'll see if that consistency is going to keep up right here. I feel like Nurshin was very back and forth overall. I think had some really good moments though, doing what they could over on the Echo. And now I don't know if the Echo is going to work in this instance, mainly because obviously the Torb Cassidy, it's pretty much built to shut something down like an Echo. So you might see a swap around. Maybe you match something like that Cassidy potentially, or maybe obviously being a little bit more of a flex. Maybe that Tracer comes out. You don't know. Obviously these players have flexibility, but instead it's going to be the Soj initially that we might see.
Yeah, initially might see the Soj coming out here, which would be interesting to see, considering, like I said, we've seen a lot of Echo from them for the most part right now. But you still see a really strong composition. Pun, I think on this Torb, it's going to be really, really interesting to see if it truly works.
We'll find out very quickly, trust me. But either way, they're going to speed through as doesn't really catch on, but they do the rotation through. Everybody gets through alive. Step one taken care of, but now they're trying to do, I think, the same rotation before. They might opt to do it from this high ground here because you technically can if you're on the very edge, as looks like they are indeed going to do so. TP directly through over onto that high ground, but no one's even on that high ground. Everyone kind of assumed what might be happening the moment they saw that Symmetra way back near the spawn doors.
Yeah, and I like Lamont going over to Sim here. Gives them more maneuverability. We saw it come out for Santiago last map. Really helped them out, especially on this first point. Dreams getting rid of that turret now allows them to kind of play a little bit more freer, knowing that turret's not going to be there for a little bit, as you already see Birkin taken out.
Yeah, and just gets caught out of position again. That TP helping bring them back and forth so effectively, so easily. But still, you have to close out this fight. Getting Glitch out of the mech would be a fantastic way to be able to do it here. But still, Glitch has sustainability sitting by with the LCS and Senses. By this point, Bert's also ready to get back into this fight as well. So we've kind of gone back to square one. You're worried about separation, and Neuroshin, the first one to be caught out here. With this being the case, it's going to fall apart. It was a good start, but unfortunately, that is a lot of time burnt away for one fight.
Yeah, a lot of time burnt away there. And you already look at it here. Almost halfway gone. If you're now Valparaiso, you need to get something going here. However, you do have ultimates coming up. Same thing, though, could be said for Santiago. Molten Core, Rally, Kitsune, Bomb. You're in a good spot here if you're Santiago. You cannot just get someone taken out very early on here for yourselves here. Because if you do that, you're really opening it up here to Valparaiso to come in and find that value. But who is it going to be? You're really looking for Lamont to get a TP in. You see the TP come out, but I don't think anyone necessarily took it there to start.
No, and we've seen obviously the fake TPs in the past. It was prolific for quite some time. People still mess around with it. Is Pun gonna let things loose and they're gonna start clearing out the scene? You were able to get one tick away, unfortunately. The way things are going right now, Valparaiso gonna be wiped off the map as again Santiago hold on. They use a bit for it, but honestly, it was necessary.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the Molten Core, the Rally coming out there. However, you still have Kitsune Rush. You still have Deadeye, you still have Bomb. You're in a good spot if you're Santiago. Other side, you use your Orbital Ray, which is a fight, which is ultimate. You really like to see be used to win team fights, to be able to sustain you through an early part of a fight, an early engagement. Now you don't have it. Granted, you have beat and you're almost being taken out early, would have been costly to them. But again, another nice TP from Lamont, and the Photon Barrier, I think actually be perfect for them.
Oh, absolutely would be perfect. And you're seeing everything kind of slow down a little bit here. They're able to get the first two ticks, but eventually you have to force your way on with the Kitsune Rush, and they get on at 96%. And now you cannot afford to get off here, as Pun going to be the first one to go down. Opening up the door here is Dream. Bomb is going to force everybody else off. Lamont goes down, and first point captain now. You have an opportunity to get a massive cleanup here.
Yeah, and you're finding those cleanup picks here as well. Since getting kill feed, and now, I mean, even with the point being capped for Valparaiso, you now just need to back up if you're Santiago. Don't necessarily give yourself a costly death here where you give up a lot of space, but they're trying to keep this up here a little bit, even as they back out. Valparaiso is starting to be a little bit aggressive here, but you can see the Divas kind of meet each other at this doorway before they fall back and play card here. No ultimates really ready to going into this engagement. So it's going to be a dry fight, and normally in the past, it's been Santiago that's been able to win those.
Yeah, and Glitch is lucky to be alive. He's going to look at the Mega Health Pack and burnt down early. Pun now on the Vendetta, going to try to bring a little bit more aggression into this predicament. I think the aggression is definitely needed right here. Neuroshin is trying to get it with a lot over on this Soj. Rally ends up being forced out now for the second time here for LCS, but still forcing everybody back. Those spawns are so close, so even as they get finished off right here, losing a single person for Santiago would be really critical, but it seems for now, everyone's hanging around.
Yeah, and look at Santiago here, touching spawn doors, and now they're getting kills in the spawn.
Oh, that is insanity. And now, again, you're in the spawn, 2 minutes left, and they're literally, like, hanging around in your spawn, trying to push you back. This is a rough scenario, but someone needs to burst through here. Surreal gonna let this one loose. Pun is taken down early, so this is gonna open up the door at last to start getting this cart rolling and forcing everyone from Santiago back.
Yeah, and I mean, the Orbital Ray finding the value there, but now Sense is coming right back in with their own Conceros, but it could be Lamont finding them there.
Yeah, Lamont, though, got to pay for their transgressions. They'll be taken out directly after the fact. And unfortunately for them, it's just Dreams and Surreal hanging around right here as the remake comes through. And again, Santiago's going to be able to kind of keep hanging around right here as Dreams, knocked out on the neck once more, has to reset themselves.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm looking at the stats right here. I don't think Glitch has died this map. They've been incredible. LCS only died once as well. They have been really, really communicating with each other in sync as well. LCS maybe poking their head a little bit too far, but Sundering Blade from Pun looking for anyone, not going to be able to find it, but does force back Valparaiso though for a moment. But you look at the ultimates here, Hunter, expect Valparaiso to heavily invest.
Yeah, you can't not to invest every single little thing, though. You're going to need something going into this next fight. Right here is Burt taken care of early on. Everyone's just kind of just flip it around. So now, even if you do lose this fight, you are just burning clock, taking time as LCS goes in with the rally. Gonna be able to stay alive a little while longer. Dream gonna try to stay alive. Gets two with the bomb. Dies anyway, but with the spawns as close as they are, should be able to see Valparaiso be able to get back together here pretty quickly.
LCS still finding picks here in the backline. Eventually, they'll be taken out for their second death of the map there. But, I mean, if you're Santiago, you loved that hold there. You touched spawn doors. You ate off about 4 minutes of time bank there. Lamont finding Burt. If you're now Valparaiso, you need these kind of picks early on in these fights. Force Santiago to play slow. Come out of the spawn. Give them some space here. This will be final fight if you do not see Valparaiso cap the point here. But they have the ultimates in their disposal to really be able to do it here, and really fast as well, especially if Surreal is able to build up to that Orbital Ray as you already see the Deadeye out from Lamont.
Yeah, but now someone's got to put this body over on the cart. That they will over time will activate as Deadeye. Not going to find anything. Pun down early, though, and now it's down to Burt with the overclock. Just trying to find something nourishing to throw this directly back. Gets the better of them, too. In less than 5 minutes, that Glitch not going to be able to sustain over on this point. The supports have to throw their bodies on right here as eventually Cap will come through for a second point, and now a chance to finish this map as LCS gets their one.
I think they got their two in that late engagement right there. I mean, they've been doing really good on this break, especially on the defensive side, but give it up to really Valparaiso for being able to just kind of fight through a lot of tough engagements right there. You really I did not expect to see a lot from them, but they did a good job just holding on to it and keeping this round going. However, 1 minute on the time bank now, not the most time. You can only afford to truly lose about one fight here for Valparaiso before you're in that last desperation touch mode. Surreal has Orbital Ray ready to go. I don't think they use it just yet. That's gonna be safe for final fight. Oh no, they use it now.
Yeah, and now unfortunately Dreams is kind of in there, team macked, and you can't really get any real advantage off this now. And yeah, Dreams just has to take the reset. Everyone's gonna get out alive, and now you're gonna head over to final fight territory where you do manage to keep everybody alive. So you're hoping at the very least maybe you can build up to that die, but everything else is gonna be a no-show.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult for them. You really need the bomb to be able to find value more than just being a remeching tool. You need the Deadeye to be able to build space here. But LCS starting it all off with the rally as a bomb out from Dreams.
Yeah, and Lamont just gets taken off the side, and maybe you force a reset here, but unfortunately, Dreams need to stay in the mech or else this thing is done. Again, you're going to end up losing on your Lucio there. You have 10 seconds left on the clock right here. Dreams is basically just going to have to bum rush the point here in a second to force the overtime. Already is running forward. He's going to try to get booped away. 2 seconds, 1 second. Going to try to make it back. Just barely will to open up the door. Lamont can be able to come in with that Deadeye. Catches on the senses as well. And now the separation over on LCS on the side is the bomb going to, or the remake, I should say, for Glitch. Coming through right here is the resets coming online. And now everything gonna be on the line here big time between the self-destruction, the overclock, the Sundering Blade, but now, after that last fight, now you have your sound barrier.
You have sound barrier. You're not that far away from Orbital, and like you said, they have overclock as well. You look at Santiago, though. Bomb is going to be the one you're really looking at here. You just put it on cart. You really force Valparaiso into spots where they're going to be easily picked off here. That's what you want to do with this bomb here if you're Glitch. If you're going to lose the mech, put it on cart. But both DPS holds out, but Spark gets shut down!
Yeah, and Weird Tryouts Notion gets rid of 2 right here. Having a moment right now. Gets rid of 3. Gonna go on with that aggression. They're forced their way over to the point. Notion gets rid of 4 bombs in the air. They need to be able to find the kill, but the remake does come through. Glitch Gonna survive a little bit longer. Needs to try to stall this one out right now. Supports need to try to make their way back in. Senses, Burt, LCS all getting hit with that respawn. Glitch somehow is still in the mech, and that is disastrous. And now it feels like this might just be a matter of time before they're forced off the point. They're barely staying on. Dreams is 98 to the remake. Is going to get at the last second. Gonna touch at the last second too. Remake comes through somehow, someway, staying in this one. Unfortunately, they are staggering on one at a time. The support's desperately trying to stay alive here. But the odds are so heavily stacked against them, as eventually you should see them forced off as Dream is alone, and unfortunately, there's no care coming.
Dream's demeched right there. Glitch will be able to take him out, and there will be no one else coming, like you said there. Santiago winning our third map of the night. A very closely contested one. Valparaiso, I thought there was multiple times that attacking round for them where you could really say, man, they are dead in the water. Santiago was just kind of controlling them. I mean, hey, they touched spawn doors. They took fights at spawn doors. Won said fights. Only lost a fight at spawn doors when ultimates were invested. I mean, normally that's a show of a really dominant round there for a team. However, you almost give up the map there at the end. You got to give Valparaiso a lot of credit for being able to come back in that map, especially everyone there. They had really good performances to be able to kind of do that because, Hunter, I don't know about you, but seeing the other team touch spawn doors, it's going to affect you one of two ways mentally. Either you're going to be so down on yourself that you kind of say, like, I just want to get on to the next map, or what Valparaiso did there is say, hey, we're kind of mad. We're going to almost take this map back.
Yeah, and they did get mad, and they almost did. It was a really good performance once they kind of were able to force them away from the spawn doors and open up the map a little bit more. Obviously, plenty of difficulties in there, but you saw more people kind of heat up as things went on. I think Nourishim was the biggest example of somebody who kept kind of heating up as things went on, was really big. Pretty much had the clutch fight there at the very end, but Glitch being able to remake, it started to... you kind of heard the tolls of the bells start going off.
Being able to remech, being able to stay in mech as long as they did, it was 3v1 for the longest time, and all that Glitch did was fly up in the air and use defense matrix pointing straight down. I mean, Glitch should have been demeched multiple times. The fact they were able to stay alive through all that in the mech is astronomically insane, an incredible performance by them. And Hunter, at this point, you might just have to say, like, one that really might put Glitch into a little bit more of a favorable spot to potentially land on the roster for Team Chile.
I mean, yeah, you have to take this into consideration, be able to survive that, because, again, if Glitch goes down, that's done. Nourishim is the hero of the map, and we move on to the next one saying, hey, that was amazing. And it was amazing, to be fair. But Glitch survival, it gives everyone this ability to get back. You're able to kind of just build up to a couple more of these ultimates that kind of help you start clearing out a house a little bit. And those spawns, obviously, so difficult to deal with at the end of the day. But I think it's a really good performance for both teams in this instance. I think Glitch obviously still looked fantastic over on the D.Va. Pun, while going on a lot of different things, I think also ended up looking really consistent. Even with the Torbjorn earlier on, it was getting a good effectiveness and forced Valparaiso to kind of change their mindset a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about Glitch there for a little bit. They didn't have their first death until about halfway through that second round. LCS also kind of sat at 1-2 deaths for the majority of the map, and throughout the entirety of the map, if you go back and kind of look at the stats for them, LCS was matching the elims that you were seeing from Valparaiso's DPS line. And LCS is playing a support. They played a really good brig that second round there. I thought provided a lot of good just sustain and a lot of good damage as well, following up with Glitch a lot of the times. It seemed like anytime LCS rallied, they found 2, even 3 kills, I believe, one time with it, which is almost insane to think of for brig, especially in this day and age.
Honestly, yeah. The brig, obviously, nothing like she was back in the day, but that rally still has a lot of strength to it, has a lot of sustainability. You get caught with that stun, it is going to be hard to escape from that. But it's a really good performance. Again, LCS and Senses as this duo looking really good together. Obviously, I think we've seen them play through a majority of the time throughout the weekend with each other, and obviously, they play with each other a lot outside of this. Again, you look back over on Team Pumas that they have a lot of experience together on as a duo as well. So I think it's paying in spades here. But obviously, we'll see what ends up coming to form as we'll get ready for our 4th map here pretty soon. We'll see what the swap rounds are going to be, because I'm looking around and making sure, but I don't believe there's anyone that we haven't had in yet. Zeus was in the second map, correct?
Yes, Zeus was in the second
Okay, yeah.
map. I
Yeah.
believe we have seen everybody at this point. And again, 15 players now. I believe Allenade is Poplots at this point. I think
Yes.
that's who they are. But again, we're going to be seeing Lamont and Burt, probably Allenade and LCS every map. Those are the only two people at their respective roles. So they're going to be in every map. Outside of that, you'll get to see some swaps here. Dreams, though, I thought they did a really good job. I mean, they were kind of struggling early on in that game. And you even looking at the stats right now, and this is going into their final push. Only 5 and 10, but they really did turn around. You see it there, 20, almost 30,000 damage. I
Yeah.
mean, the elims aren't there for them, but man, they're finding value, being able to really help their team find kills, especially in that attacking round where they're really locked down. And we're able to really match what we were seeing from the D.Va on the other side.
Yeah, 100% as well. I think Dreams really did kind of hold their own in their own right with that D.Va as well. It's really worth noting because while we talk about the stat lines that we see here from Glitch, it is worth noting that Dreams was able to keep up a lot of the time. I found a lot of value with the remix and the bombs as well, for that matter. So obviously we'll see what things go from here as we kind of see for the moment what we're looking at in terms of swaps, and we are seeing a couple people come back in within Kenos and Zeus coming back in, Crow coming back in for another map as well, and we see a little bit of swap around in the support category. LCS, I think, getting paired up with, I could just look at the channel, with Surreal for this next one.
Yeah, and Surreal, they like to play the Juno a lot for the most part. We've seen them play Juno and really kind of gravitate towards Juno. I've been impressed with them, but I think the one thing I really want to see for them is their orbital rays. They've been very hit or miss throughout the couple days we've seen Team Chile tryouts here. And granted, again, orbital ray is a very hit or miss kind of ultimate. You normally see it being used a lot to kind of counter out a Zarya grab if there's no Lucio there for the most part. But with them playing that flex support and now having LCS on their team, unless they're being told to play a specific comp, you might be seeing that Lucio Juno come out for, I believe, the side of Valparaiso.
Yeah, you just might. In Shrill's been, I think, playing that Juno a lot throughout the weekend as well. Has been kind of one of their go-to heroes. And I would say that Orbital Ray still has a lot of strength to it. I think Juno still has a spot in the meta somewhere as well. Obviously not as strong as, like, we look at launch Juno and that Orbital Ray, that if you see an Orbital Ray, you run. You get away from there. You want nothing to do with it. But we're likely going to see the Juno again here, as again... gonna have to wait and see, as we did see Atlas is gonna be the 4th map for today.
Yeah, and it looked like Juno was still gonna stick there for Surreal LCS after a really good map on the break last map. I think we saw him sticking with it here. I think that's a good choice, especially for a map like Atlas. Yeah, you would love to have the speed of the Lucio. I think a lot of good wall ride opportunities means you're able to get back into fights very quickly. But I think they just showed us something on that break, which was really impressive from them last map. However, I honestly did not see what anyone else was playing, but it's gonna be interesting to see what we see actually come out here. Do we see Domina? We haven't seen Zarya yet tonight, which has been a really interesting thing considering right now Zarya is like the tank, the meta tank. But me and you have seen it in the past, especially in South American Face It, where we've really seen South America sometimes be ahead of the curve when it comes to what tanks they play. Because we can go back to season 5 when me and you started covering Face It here in South America. They were playing Orisa, and then we started to see the rest of the world start playing Orisa a little bit more as well.
Yeah, they kind of had this sense of things down here, which is really nice to see. They pick up on this and they go with it. And they still have their own style, obviously, that they go with. But you think of like the metas that have been quote unquote discovered over the course of the last several years of Overwatch. I mean, it's not like there was some, Goats was created by Krusty or Moon in the lab down there somewhere. It was just a team called Goats that decided, hey, this is great, let's run this. And suddenly everyone said, oh, let's run this too.
Unstoppable.
And then every team was running it to the point where obviously we had to basically make it so, hey, you can't run this anymore. No Goats for you.
No more Goats for you. Roll lock. We aren't doing it anymore. But hey, we head in now. I talk about not seeing Zarya at all throughout the night. Zarya is now on the table. Symmetrical for both sides here, but you immediately see him swap back over. Almost a mirror match here. The only difference is Poplot's coming out on the Kiri instead of LCS over on the other side on that break. Again, I thought LCS did a really good job on the break. Kiri, though, provides a little bit more sustainability. The Suzu for grab is going to be very, very important for both these teams, or for at least Santiago this map.
Yeah, incredibly important in this instance right here. It'll be interesting to see Burt and Lamont both over on the Cassidy. We see this from Lamont a lot. Burt, though, obviously very much one to let things loose over on that Sojourn. But so far, both finding their own picks to get the fight started right here. LCS being gone, though, early does take some of that sustainability away. Zeus is definitely feeling it right now as LCS already gives up on the Brig to go to the Wuyong. But at this stage of the game, it's Glitch trying to keep them going, gets rid of their counterpart. Unfortunately, with all these picks going back and forth, you should be able to see Santiago be able to start stabilizing a little bit. Unfortunately, they might have to sacrifice the point to do so.
Yeah, they're going to have to here, especially with Lamont finding 2 there. I'd like LCS now going over to the Wuyang here, especially with the Brig or the Zarya on the other side. I think it was just not going to find the value you were truly looking for there, even though they had a good map on it last time. But Burt being taken out early is not what you want to see here from Valparaiso.
Yeah, that's a bit of a rough one right there. And now Burt is going to hang back there as they keep the aggression up. LCS and Zeus both going to be cut down in this fight over just like that. At this point, going to flip over at 43% make it. And now Ultimate's already online as we have a double High Noon coming online.
Yeah, double Deadeye is coming out here. Most of them, for the most part, it's going to probably use like a zoning tool. That's what you would really expect here, especially if you're Santiago, just be able to force back Valparaiso here. LCS kind of lagging behind and Ultimate but building up pretty quickly. Deadeye already out here, though, from Lamont.
Yeah, and hoping to get literally anybody in this instance right here. Going to pop the corner at the last second. Nobody peeking their head. As we're going to see if Burt can find that value. Gets the bubble, barely stays alive through it all. Now Surreal going to have the Orbit Array available. The question is, do you pull it without Zeus there? And the answer is, yeah, we're going for it. Unfortunately, that's going to be maybe a bit of an error as you do get the Graviton Surge out in exchange, which is nice. But now you need to try to get somebody to go and touch this point.
Yeah, and honestly, almost at this point, if you're Valparaiso here, you might just really fake a fight here, go in, try to get a couple ultimates out from Santiago, because you don't really have anything other than Tidal Blast and a grab of your own, but you really want to hold on that for next engagement, I feel like, or next point at this opportunity here. Santiago, though, on point, waiting for the attack here, as you do see Valparaiso go charging in. Surreal, though, will shut down Crow.
Yeah, and this one's gonna, I mean, end really quickly in their favor. Shut down Kenos and Alanade going to try to get out of there alive. We'll be able to, we'll set up for one more fight to decide this one. But I think really critically, Glitch has our Graviton Surge, and while Continuing Rush and Orbital Array are great, I don't know that's going to be enough to sustain him through it all.
It's going to be rough to do it, but you never know. We've seen Kinos in the past really pop off with Thundering Blades. If you find 1 or 2, it opens up a lot here. As you do see, I like what you're seeing here from Valparaiso, grab and now pushing up. Yeah,
and that is, I mean, that's over just like that. The early pick from Lamont onto Burt takes away any chances, and now you'll take the reset going into second point, and you're fine kind of using the Graviton Surge there because you still have things rather evened out in terms of the ult economy going into our second point.
Yeah, really, that was a great use of the grab there. And again, we've seen this in the past from a lot of these Chile teams or these Chile trial teams. They like to play aggressive going after they cap the flashpoints here. It's worked out for them in the past, and it works out for them there again. Continuing Rush now out here from Poplar trying to get their team going, as so is the Blade.
Yeah, no one going to show their face out here. It's just going to have to let it loose. It catches on the tail end of Surreal, who's, I mean, lucky to be alive right now, but eventually luck will run out as Lamont, LCS Glitch, trying to hang in there best they can. There's so much damage coming through from Burt and Kenos to have to deal with, though. As the point's going to unlock, Glitch is hanging around. They're going to be able to contest that point for now, and I think they have to give it up.
They're gonna have to get it up here for a brief moment because hey, you do not have Crow there to really be able to help you push. You need Crow, especially in this composition right now. Again, we're seeing the Zarya Vendetta for the first time here tonight. But you look over now at Valparaiso. You have your Deadeye, you have your Sundering Blade, you have some good zoning tools here, really to force this team into where you want them to be. Burt does have Deadeye as well, but he's gonna take. Oh!
Yeah, that's done and dusted right there, ain't it? Full team white coming through. They try going this different route, unfortunately, right there. I mean, that is just a gateway to be cut down with the Sundering Blade as Lamont doing some shenanigans, potentially.
This is potentially dangerous. Cassidy, not known for being the fastest hero in the game, but I think they're going to get basically bailed out here by Santiago because they are now rotating around to the other side of the point. This is going to be final fight as Burt now using the Deadeye to buy some space. Look for a skull. I don't think they're going to be able to find one.
No, and Open Array got used by Surreal, by the way, and that's not really going to find them a whole lot of anything. It's eventually going to make their way over towards the point. But Kenos, just overextends, I think, a little bit right there. It's Crow be called out as well. Deadeye's there for good measure as they're going to be able to flip this point back, and with that, should be able to lock in the second point.
Sense is just trying to stall it out as long as they can here. Maybe you see one more touch come out here from Valparaiso, from Santiago, my bad. But you just immediately see Valparaiso just pushing right up. Santiago, they don't have speed on their composition other than speed ring, so they're just going to let it go. And now Valparaiso, one more point away from winning this map. Remember, this is scrim code, so we will play all 5 points. So even if Valparaiso wins it, we will still play the other 2. But, I mean, this has been a really good round here for Valparaiso. Got off to a little bit of a sluggish start, but once you saw the swaps come out there and LCS go over to this Wuyang, it's been a much different story for them.
Yeah, and now it's going to be the battle of the Graviton Surges starting this 3rd point right here. I think one of them is going to try to be really aggressive around this corner right here with it and try to find somebody earlier on. It could potentially be Glitch. It's going to be tossed out there. It is going to catch on to a couple of people. Lamont finding some finishes as Glitch going to keep moving through to clear everybody out. Last one standing is Crow. Will eventually go down. Point going to go in their favor once again, but I mean, at the end of the day, Crow, smart to hold on to that one right there. Didn't throw it out in desperation. We'll have it for this next fight.
I love how Valparaiso is really playing these engagements here, especially these first, like, kind of pre-point open-up engagements. Grav has been great for them to really open up a lot, even win fights, the win points here, but the rest of their team has just been able to find so much value. Now, if you're looking over at Santiago, you have Grav, you have Orbital, you have Kitsune, not that far away from everything else. Grav out here right now. Deadeye out from Lamont as well.
Yeah, that's that's a quick fight if I have ever seen one. And obviously, you go in, and you invest a couple of vaults to do it, but honestly, it feels warranted. You take it over, and you still have a pretty good ult economy going up to the next one.
Yeah, you're not necessarily mad at yourself for investing 2 ultimates in that fight when you really probably only need to just invest the Grav, because, like you said, they have ultimates coming up. Deadeye, Sundering Blade, Kitsune Rush. The only thing that Valparaiso has right now is the Tidal Blast, which, granted, they're not far away from the actual Tidal Blast out already.
Yeah, and Glitch is down early. A bunch of stuns come through due to that Tidal Blast, so it kind of turns momentum a little bit, even with Glitch down, but it's just Lamont and LCS hanging around who kind of have to start running for as that point flip potentially going to come through, but it's just LCS hanging around, and LCS is saying a little friendly hello, hi, before probably having to hit the reset button here as they're getting staggered a little bit.
Looking to return to the water. LCS going to be able to do that, but I think that might have been a little bit unfortunate, because I believe we just saw Zeus come flying back in. There we are.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is going to be really tough to hold back, because it feels like they're going to go with the Orbital right here, and it's already out. Deadeye is used. You're going to be able to see a touch coming through here regardless. Overtime has gone through as Lamont hanging about has already gotten rid of one. Trades, you hoping to come through here, but even if you get that temporary flip back, you're seeing Glitch be able to hold on, has that sustainability still standing by from their supports as you just see them backing out of here for a moment for one more fight.
Yeah, again, I think losing Crow there basically meant that fight was over there for Santiago. They needed to just fall back, but you look over at Valparaiso now. They're in a really good spot. Sundering Blade, Deadeye ready to go here. Lamont, haven't talked about them enough this map. They're actually doing an incredible job at shutting down Burt. Burt has been someone we talked about a lot in the past. 5-7 right now. Lamont, 13-3. Make it 13-4.
Yeah, definitely that. Bit of a trade-out coming through here, though. Zeus has already gotten rid of 2 to pull this one back. Make it a 3rd one right here. The 3-piece combo is going brilliantly, but Kenos and Crow, all they can do is just eat this reset and have to hand over this point. Does take one with them at the very least. It's just not going to be enough, so that'll be 3-0 for now. But again, like you said, the other 2 points will still be played here as the double Graviton Surge is going to be back online.
And I think it really comes down to who gets it first, and do they use it almost immediately here? With no Kitsune Rush ready for either side, you don't even see that as an option for Valparaiso, or nor over Ray for either side either. You can find a lot of value with these grabs, which again, both these teams have been able to really win fights just off grabs alone in the past. Lamont, though, holding on to Deadeye, wants to use it probably as a little bit of a zoning tool, but the grab could be coming out here from Glitch.
Yeah, 100% could be in this situation as we're trying to get this fight rocking and rolling, and already with that Graviton Surge, you just close things out that quickly. But you're going to get your fight here, and you're going to be able to take over the point first to get things going, and for them hoping to garner some level of momentum at last.
Yeah, and right now, I'm trying to figure out what the healing stat is on the left side. Is it the second from the right?
I believe it's this. I believe it is the second from the right. No?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have to assume it is. Surreal's doing a really good job. I mean, 10,000 healing at the moment as Lamont now using the data to buy some space. Whew, I thought they actually found one there, but no, it's Burt shutting down Zeus on the other side.
Yeah, and now Lamont and LCS both in a little bit of trouble right here. Glitch is going to throw in the grab, and unfortunately, you get Allenade in there, but unfortunately, that's not going to be enough to turn this one around, and LCS is going to try to run for cover. Isn't going to get there, though, so unfortunately, a gamble that just doesn't work out for Glitch.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that is the healing stat right there. LCS only 3,700 healing on this Wu Yang, and you would expect to see a little bit more from them here, but they do have another Tidal Blast ready to go. However, the grab from Glitch just being a dud is a little bit sad for Valparaiso. Normally, Glitch has been on fire with their grabs. You see the Orbital Ray coming out for both sides here.
Yeah, it's chaos out the gate here. Zeus has gotten the better of in the Vendetta category, though. And as Surreal with that Orbital Ray is going to try to help them sustain through a little bit more. Unfortunately, this one is done as we head to the 5th and final point where one thing to take into consideration with how these fights have gone, Crow now massively ahead when it comes to the Graviton Surge.
Yeah, really doing a good job with that now. I think you're really just seeing this entire Santiago team bounce back from what last map was for them. A really good improvement for them. Deadeye now out from Bird to buy some space. Maybe find one pick as Lamont just has to roll away. And you already saw Glitch invest one bubble to keep themselves alive. But the point's still a decent amount away from opening here. Valparaiso has an opportunity to come back in and play quickly here if they want.
Yeah, 100% is that 5th and final point. Get ready to open up. Lucky to be alive. Unfortunately, cannot say the same thing for Crow there as the trade's coming back through as Keno's trying to find something with the Sundering Blade. See separation. LCS pokes out their head. Unfortunately, going to be taken down. That could be enough to decide things. Glitch is still hanging around with a lot of charge, though. Unfortunately, though, it is being cut down from all sides. And 5th point, at least for the moment right here, looking like it should be in control here of Santiago. But instead, they're going to be fighting back. Initial flip to Valparaiso. But Zeno, I mean, Kenos is doing a really good job of hanging in there.
Yeah, and they should be able to get the point flip now. It would be kind of, I think, dumb for Valparaiso to throw any more bodies on the point and everyone's just going to kind of sit back. But now, again, you look at it here. Crow, grab ready to go here. Consumer also ready to go for Poplot. So you're in a good spot right now if you are Santiago, but Lamont, Deadeye, Zeus does have Sundering Blade at some point in this fight. They haven't found the value they've been looking for in these last couple engagements, but you've also just seen Keynotes come alive.
You absolutely have Deadeye here, causes momentary separation, and Kinos now has Lamont perhaps right where they want him as they're going to finish this off, and now this is them finishing with such a great sense of momentum. Glitch trying to get out of there alive. They're pursuing a little bit here as they're going to be able to clear out Zeus earlier as well. And now you're in final fight, and both grabs again, ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, Crow's been holding on to this grab for a little bit, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Glitch just building up to it. Will almost use it and the moment they get it, I assume. But Surreal, they have this Orbital Ray ready to go. So when that grab comes out from Crow, like it is now, they're going to have to use that Orbital Ray instantly.
Oh, and Bert clearing house and clearing away the last of these bodies. LCS, last one alive, but a touch it will not create. So that's a really strong finish there for Santiago, even if Valparaiso do win the map. It's a really good way to bounce back in that scenario. I mean, honestly, looking really good. Again, you see just a great job at the tail end there from someone like Kenos to kind of start bouncing, or I should say, yeah, Kenos bouncing back a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think everyone there for Santiago got off to a really rough start after winning the first fight. Basically, on that first point, they then struggled throughout the rest of it. I think you just saw really good ult rotations through on the Valparaiso side. And hey, once they knew they won the map, I think they want to try to change up their playstyle a little bit. And if that wasn't the case, you just saw Santiago come alive. I mean, again, Zeus, I mean, Kinos and Bert really started to pick up the slack there a little bit in those final 2 points because they were getting shut down a lot. Like I said at one point, Lamont was, I believe, 13-4, while Bert was, I think, 7-8. But burned those last 2 points, really turned it up. Same thing with Crow. Poplot's incensed. I mean, everyone on that Santiago team squad there, that last map, really in those last 2 points, figured it out a little bit there, or figured it out a lot to be able to shut down Valparaiso.
Yeah, I think they really did. And obviously, it'd take them a minute to find out. And obviously, like in an actual game scenario, that 3-0 would just be right then and there. But you have to play all 5 points like it is your last point. Like, it means just as much as anything else. And that's a really good response there for Santiago to fight back in that realm. And I think start looking really good because, let's make it clear, it was still back and forth in a lot of the instances of those first couple of points. But the importance of being able to stop the momentum that it felt like Valparaiso had very clearly for quite some time, that is critical to be able to do.
Yeah, and yeah, the map at that point, like we said, already kind of over if that we were playing normally. But I mean, give it up to Santiago just being able to come back in a
Mhm.
map that they were getting almost rolled on through it there. And I mean, you have to kind of wonder what happened to Valparaiso in those last couple points because
Mhm.
Glitch really fell off. Lamont wasn't finding the value. LCS, I think we kind of highlighted them a little bit too much that last map, but they weren't getting the healing. They were getting a lot of damage. Granted, they were doing a good job on that. I mean, right now you're looking at the stats. They're doing more damage than Zeus through that second point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of a rough one right there. But again, you saw the bounce back because I mean, both Zeus and Kenos I think look great in this map,
Mhm.
but it is the tale of two sides ultimately. It feels like Zeus starts really well, and it's Kenos who ends it extremely well. Um, Now obviously, I'll be happy to see them a little bit more throughout the night because obviously there's quite a number of maps still to go. For a lot of these players right here, but the consistency is being kept up by a lot of these players as well. Again, Glitch starts on a really good note. I think Lamont really taking it to Burt in this map as well looked really good in some
Mhm.
of those instances, especially again a little more towards the beginning. But even then, Burt did get silenced a lot more than we're used to.
Yeah, like I said, I already kind of touched on it. Lamont through this third point had a big advantage on them. I mean, right now you look at the stats, Lamont 13-5 going into that fourth point. Bert only 7-8. I mean,
Yeah.
Bert, this was a little bit of a struggle map for them, for the most part. But they started to really pick it up in those final 2 points. I don't think they necessarily caught up to Lamont, but they started to help their team out a little bit more. Deadeye started finding a little bit more value for them, but really everything for Santiago started to find a little bit more value for that team on those last 2 points. So really good job by them. But again, it's going to be interesting to see, especially now that we see the lineups here. Bert, LCS senses Dream as Valparaiso. Pakovic coming back in, I think, for is this the second time tonight? I
Yep.
don't feel like we've
Yep.
seen Pac that much.
Second time for Pakovic. Yeah.
Yeah. Lamont, Kinos, Poplots, and Nika, I believe, also either the second or third time for them here tonight, going into our fifth map of the night. Kings Row will be our next map, but especially getting rid of those two tanks or swapping out the two tanks here, I think it's the right move to do. And especially with how good Dreams and Pagovic played against each other back on Shambali, I think this is going to be really fun to see.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun because I saw a little bit of that flexibility from Pakovic, obviously earlier within the weekend. But I think had it maybe one of the best Sigmas that we've seen throughout the entirety of the weekend. Had a really good level of consistency, especially as the weekend has kind of gone on. And obviously with King's Row, Sigma not the first character you think of, obviously, but it is a character you can 100% bring out. But we'll see how much that flexibility comes into play here shortly as we're getting ready for the fifth map of the evening. And as the night keeps going forward, the amount of chances you get to show what you could do starts to lower more and more and more and more. So it becomes critical to go out on these last couple maps that you'll have and show everything you possibly can.
Yeah, you want to leave, you want to make it have be a very hard decision and discussion for the people who are putting this team together. Because at this point right now, Hunter, you have to believe that coming into the night, the people putting the team together probably had a good idea of who their seven were going to be, but they wanted to just see a couple more players play a couple more maps, and you're seeing that here now. I think there's going to be a lot of tough discussions, especially on the DPS line. I think that's going to be really fun. On the tank line as well. I mean, the fact you only have 7 players is rough. I would love there to be 8, but I probably understand why there's only 7. If there was 8, then I think it'd be a little bit easier because you could have a sub at every role.
Yeah, you could, and obviously that'd be great, and I feel like that'd make decisions a little bit easier for them all. But obviously that's the reality of our situation. 7 players to a team. That's how it's honestly been for the longest time for the World Cup as well. So sticking with it. But obviously we'll have to see. Again, we're not coaches at the end of the day. We feel obviously. I feel strongly about a lot of these players here today. I think everyone's really shown what they can do throughout this entire weekend. And I don't envy the coaches, the staff of this position, to have to narrow down to those 7. I'm happy to just be here as a caster and be able to show them off as best we can and then sit back and just have to wait for the results to show them for themselves.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think you said it right. I would hate to be a coach. I would really hate to be a coach, especially for what we're seeing here, because they have done really, really good. All the players, especially the ones we've seen tonight, have done really good throughout all 3 days of tryouts so far. We still have either 2 or 3 more maps here tonight for these players to show off a little bit more. But hey, Kings Row should be a really good showing for some of these players here, and ones that you might honestly need. Looks like Pakovic coming out on the Doomfist on the attacking side. Interesting. Dreams and Pun Pun, though, playing the really strong Zarya Vendetta comp at the moment. Burt, have to watch out for Burt on the Freya. We've talked about a lot. They can do so much damage, find so many picks early on, really help their team out here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as well as you see Lamont make that swap over towards the Ashe in this instance. As you see some separation, Kenos really close to going down. LCS, though, ends up being the first casualty. Now, this could open up the door, but Pakovic does get taken down. Those spawns going to be really close, though, so I feel like the moment Pakovic's back, you're going to see them go with that aggression.
Yeah, and that's especially with what this composition is for Santiago. You want to play fast. You want to keep this aggression up here. You really want to be able to disrupt Dreams, but the bubble right there just stops Pakovic dead in their tracks. However, they're still trying to keep this pressure onto them.
Yeah, right now you see Pun Pun just get chumped the moment they go to that high ground. Pakovic turns right around, takes care of them. And now this is going to open up the door for them to move forward. Just barely misses out on that punch, but Nika able to help take care of LCS anyways. That first takes taken care of. The second one almost certainly locked in as well. And there's a question of if you can get in here and take care of this point, because they're being pushed back. And at this point, Archways might be in the table, especially as Pun Pun, big finish there. They're going to get punched away. Cannot get back.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this comp wants to do. It wants to take space, be able to kind of control space as well, the puck on this one here. However, I think it was a really smart play there by Valparaiso not to engage back onto it, because if you lose the fight, you give up arches now, you can hold it arches, and look, Dreams already did not want to lose Pun Pun.
Yeah, that is a not great trade for you right there. I mean, Aladdin's going to be back so quickly for you in this instance. You're going to be able to get Dream out with all of that tasty charge at the very least, but you see everyone kind of separated over here on the right side with Burt and LCS in there. They're separated, and Burt's not going to get out alive, and I can't say the LCS is in the best case either, as they're going to keep going forward, try to run down bodies. Pakovic maybe overplaying their hand for a second as Kitsune Rush gets thrown out, and I think that's one you're probably going to want back.
It might be one you want back, but at the same time, you're able to push forward on it. You forced Valparaiso back for a brief moment. You're okay with that. However, you look at Valparaiso, they're going to come back in very, very quickly with ultimates of their own here. Grab ready, though, for Poplots to be able to slow down Dream, but the grab's out. There's the beat as well.
Yeah, but they're going to be cut down. Bolo thrown in. And the support line just gets deleted right there, and you're still hanging around. You have ults available, but obviously just kind of going to hang around on that one. But you get two really strong ones out in this instance, and now you don't have the combination with the Sundering Blade for that grab anymore.
No, you don't, but at the same time, while that is a very scary combo to have, you don't see it actually used that much together. You want to have the Sundering Blade kind of be its own thing, force players to go to certain spots and really allow your DPS, your hit scan DPS to find some value there. Pakovic now getting off the Doomfist, going over to the Winston instead. As you do see the Sundering Blade coming out here, they're trying to find anyone, but no, everyone just hides in the bookstore, able to get out with their lives.
Yeah, that they will, and now Kenos has that blade ready to go. LCS has a beat ready in exchange, though, if they do decide to pull the trigger on that. So it might just be used for the sake of trading as it does come out, and that's what it'll be. It's literally just to force the trade out, but now since this is going to have this Kitsune Rush a lot quicker of this instance for this fight, you might see a level of aggression, especially as you get rid of Aladdin already early on, and you're just going to see them get deleted in this instance right here as... Yeah, Pun Pun gonna make sure there's no survivors.
Pun Pun with 4 right now. They're doing really good. 8 kills, 8 elims, most in the lobby by a long shot. Really, I think the next highest one is actually Senses with 3. So they're getting their name in that kill feed a lot here. But you do see Santiago. They're gonna have Bob. They're gonna have Kitsune at some point this fight here. Bert's gonna be the only one now for Valparaiso, who should have an ultimate this engagement. But do they use the Bola? They might here, but honestly, we've seen them in the past be very aggressive with those.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you kind of have to be a little aggressive with him. Burt has been known to be aggressive with him too. So we'll see if that keeps up as Pakovic, honestly, a little lucky to be alive there. Dreams has been really good at garnering a lot of this charge, but now a Bob can be thrown in. It's going to cause a lot of separation right here. Lots of damage thrown in. Cinder Rush can be thrown out as well. But there's so many low bodies on their side. You take the trade out with the tank as Pun Pun will end up ultimately going down to the Bob, who did something, thankfully. But still... They hang around with the double supports. LCS is separated from the rest of the squad for a moment, but you see them all kind of hanging around in the little corridor there that eventually someone's going to have to force the touch.
And someone's going to have to force it. It might be LCS beat coming out for them. That was a little bit too long for them to hit the ground, but Burt immediately finding Poplots there. And I think the beat's going to be able to at least sustain them through this fight here, and they're going to actually be able to stabilize. Now they just need to get Dreams back here, as you already see everyone for Santiago just back up. granted, they saw the beat. I think they did the right things backing out of that fight. They knew they didn't have the numbers. They didn't have their tank back. You look at Santiago going to this next fight, Primal Rage, beat of their own here, really to match Dream's grab, which isn't ready just yet, which is something I don't know if Santiago will expect.
I don't know in this instance. Because with it about to be ready, I mean, oh my god, you don't even have the grab for it now. So now you can't really invest anything here. Pakovic just needs to try to get out of line with everybody else, be able to take the reset. But now there's only a minute left on the clock, and unfortunately, you see the separation right there as poor Lamont just is going to have to bide their time to be taken out. As Bolo thrown out here, and eventually Kenos kind of dies as a result.
I almost thought that Bolo actually found Pakovic there, but it did not. However, again, you only invest the Bolo into that fight there. You're seeing Valparaiso take space again. I'm not against this. They're taking space. That cart's rolling back. You have grab. You could really try to keep this fight going, and you do see Dreams. I thought they were going to try to play the off angle there, but I think Lamont swapping over to the Tracer here for maybe a last touch, notices them out there, and you immediately force the Dream back. Dive coming in there from Pac, beat out from Poplots. There's the grab.
And Pakovic's gonna have to let that one go. Southern Blade thrown in. Pakovic went from like 1,000 health to 0 as he just Kenos with a blade and a Dream is able to get rid of at least one and trying to cut down Dreams, but there's still so much health remaining as the overtime will at least be able to come through, but temporary as it will be. Just Lamont hanging around. Pulse Bomb not too far away, unfortunately. Not close enough. Touches coming through at the very end once again, trying to get some kind of finish, but with the Bolo being thrown in, max charge ready to go on that punch, but eventually Pakovic gone, and this is just a pure stall game.
Yeah, and they're trying to just stagger touches out here. Not going to be able to find another one, though. Good hold there by Santiago as... Why does that say they capped all 3 points?
That's always what it does on the scrim code. Always.
Okay. A really good hold there by Valparaiso. Doing everything they needed to do there just to slow down Santiago, especially after they broke through on that first point. However, the swap over to the Winston, I don't think it found the value we were truly looking for. The Doomfist did exactly what it needed to do on that first point. The Winston coming out on the second point didn't really help. I think that much. I think if you stuck with the Doomfist, it would have been a little bit better, especially into the Zarya that you saw there from Dreams, who's been having a really consistent showing on that tank throughout the majority of the times we've seen them do it. Outside of that, it's really fun to watch Lamont and Bert go head-to-head against each other. We know how good of players they are, really, but man, they've been just throwing haymakers at each other. I believe Bert only died once last map, or last round. Lamont, I think, died a couple times because, again, attacking side, gonna run into a couple more deaths here, but Pon and Kinos, they're really holding their own here. I mean, one's playing the Vendetta, one's playing the Genji, and they're finding a lot of value. It's hard to really point at someone and say, hey, they're struggling here, but each of these teams, I think, is playing up to their potential.
I 100% think they are as well. It's been really entertaining to see both of them throughout the entire weekend and what they can do. But obviously, we'll see what more they can bring to the table with these last couple of maps. Pakovic potentially going to be looks to be matching that Zarya from Dreams, and we'll see what value that gets. Because at the end of the day, the Doomfist I think was feels like a little bit experimental. It definitely had its good uses, but unfortunately, even when the Winston swap came through, it feels like they were never able to catch that momentum back that it feels like they got early on.
No, it really didn't at all here. And now look at the difference here. You see Kinos showing us the Reaper here, which I think is a really fun pick, but it only truly works if they expect to see, I think, a Winston on the other side. However, this is a composition that was considered to be really strong, one of the strongest kind of combos about 4 months ago, before Vendetta was released. So they're trying to find that same kind of value here again, but who's it going to be trying to find? Is it going to be, they already got caught out.
Yeah, like already in a really weird spot as Kenos is going to try to get alive, is going to get actually being kept up. Pun of all people actually goes down first, so now unfortunately doesn't leave you in the best of positions in the world, but at least they get back quickly.
Yeah, at least they'll get back very quickly here. Kinos, though, somehow still on their first life here on this Reaper, finding the pick that they were really looking for on the Dreams.
Yeah, 100%. And now that's cleared out right there. I mean, Pakovic already just in the quick instance looking better over on the Zarya instead. And this is with the Reaper, a very aggressive front where if someone is out of position, they will get ran down and they will die.
Yeah, look, you already see Bert swap off of the Freya, going over to the Cassie instead. That flashbang, they want to be able to really be able to stun Kinos for that brief moment and get them out. That's what their swap is here. I do like it as we're seeing a pause come out here from Lamont. So it looks like a brief problem here for Santiago at the moment. We're going to figure out what that is. Probably mouse dying, headset dying. That's why you wear corded stuff, everyone.
Yeah, that's why you always go with the cord here. But we'll see pretty shortly what the situation is. But hopefully, quick resolution will come our way. But yeah, no, I'm loving the adjustments that you're seeing in this instance. Obviously, things like the Reaper, the Zarya, it's a lot of big burst potential, especially when you're going into a situation where you've been having to deal with someone like Dreams, who honestly really consistent on that Zarya. Throughout that defense, I think looked great on it, and Pakovic is basically trying to match. And so far, with the brief amount we've seen, I feel like has already been able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, they really have. And that's one thing where why do we not see the Zarya last round for them? But hey, you're getting it, you're swapped it over, you're mirroring it here, which is something we've seen a lot throughout these tryouts where one team likes to really stick with something for their attacking round and mirrors it the other one. I think it's a smart move here, especially if you're able to hold Valparaiso here on this first point, which again, off to a really good start, finding a couple early picks and somehow keeping Kinos alive, which they should have died probably 1-2 times over at this point.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I'm excited to see how the rest of this point will end up going, as we will hopefully get back into things again shortly. I don't know. It's really going to be curious to see, because you saw them trying to take these different angles over on the side, and Dreams was just getting punished by Kenos pretty consistently to get things rolling here. And I don't think that sense of aggression is going to stop, because I think the moment they let it up, it's going to start alleviating a lot of those problems that Valparaiso was having starting here.
Yeah, it looks like it was actually Nika. I think they disconnected. It also kind of looks like maybe they weren't ready to unpause there. Pakovic almost dies pretty early on there, and this now gives some space here as Pun Pun gets rid of Kinos.
Yeah, but quick trade for Pun Pun being down in exchange for that. And to be fair, they'll both be back in relatively good time, but you kind of have to wait as Lamont gets taken out. And with that, the go button has been pressed. Pakovic is separated. Still has those bubbles remaining, though. Is going to be able to have that high charge to stay in there. Is trying to burn away LCS, who's incredibly low. Has stayed up as Pakovic barely hanging on to their life right there. As that first tick going to be given up. The second one as well, but I think they're going to re-engage.
There might be a re-engagement here. Yep, nope, there it is. Kinos immediately TPing into the backline. Has to use the Wraith form, but has the bubble, finds Pun Pun out.
Yeah, and Beat's going to be used right here. Remember, you're super far away from your own. Considering Rush being thrown as well. Bob going to be able to go onto the backside of the point, though. Is going to cause a good amount of separation. Dreams is in a really rough position inside now. Eventually going to be burnt away, and Bert going to be cornered. And while Senses does get Lamont on the way out, the bleeding definitely has been stopped as momentary lag there.
Yeah, that's concerning. But, I mean, you still see just Santiago trying to find something here on the defense side. Senses will shut down Nika here for a moment. So now if you're Valparaiso, you're going in. Death Blossom ready. They're going to pop it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, and Beat's going to come through here as well. Oh, but the trade-off's beginning to come through. Dreams with that grab works out relatively well. Pulls everybody in. Bert clears house. They're going to be able to cap the point. 3:45 going to be on the clock going forward. And it's a lot thrown in there for both sides, but ultimately the big combo at the end to seal things out.
Yeah, quick time check.
Yeah,
what time?
33. 32.
Yep. Okay, we're good.
Yay!
We're good. A good fight there by really Valparaiso. Keep it going. Bert, Dreams, really comboing it there. You don't see that combo often. Wow. You don't see that combo often with the Deadeye and grab, but hey, when it works, it works. And now you see, I believe that's LCS. No. That's Poplots pushing up there very far. But right now, Valparaiso looking just for some space, and I'm surprised Santiago's really giving it to them.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised with it as well, but Kenos is down early, and that's completely devastating. Considering Rush being thrown in here to try to win the 4v5, unfortunately, they're pretty much removed from it completely already, as they're just going to have to wait around as they have nothing in the bank anymore.
Yeah, nothing in the bank. And you look over the other side, Senses, Pun Pun, they have their ultimates here. You're going to be able to see just this Valparaiso squad play aggressively here.
Yeah, and now Sundering Blade, and unfortunately, Pakovic in the corner. I say likely to be deleted, eventually pursuing, and it will. So you're going to see Valparaiso be able to win this map, but it's going to go beyond that. They're going to cap the second point and try to finish the map.
Yeah, I mean, there's the point. I mean, here's the victory for them. But I mean, like right now, look at the stats. Burt 15-2. Compare that to Lamont. We're almost basically seeing a reverse of what we saw last map for those two, where Lamont was doing really good and Burt was kind of struggling. Now Burt having themselves a map. Same thing with Pun Pun. Granted, they've died a couple times, but they're playing the Vendetta. You kind of expect to see that from them here. Other than LCS beats, though, you look at Santiago, they're coming up to a lot of their ultimates. They're in a much better spot, I believe, but you can't lose someone like Pakovic early.
No, you absolutely cannot, and now it feels like you almost have to give up this fight if Pakovic goes down right here. Beat comes out, and now this is, if you're on the card, die on the card. If you're not, try to get out alive, and unfortunately for them, it's a little bit of a mix of the two, but they will be able to regroup for another fight.
I love the play there, actually, from Valparaiso.
Interesting.
Okay, Bert, you definitely did not mean to do that. But I love the play there from Valparaiso. LCS used the beat, and essentially we saw there for a brief moment. They were essentially a hive mind. 4 of the members of that team were playing together. Oh, Dreams.
Yeah, Dreams indeed. Indeed. Just gets taken off, and the fight doesn't even really get to start. So 245. And now this is going to give a chance for Pakovic to catch up with their own Graviton Surge, because Dream was going to have it ready for that fight.
Yeah, and oh my goodness, I'm looking at the ults used here. I know it's been kind of reset. Senses apparently has used 10 Kitsunis. That's insane.
It is, if that is the case, absolutely insanity. My God. But obviously, we'll see how things proceed from here as Dreams goes down early, opens up the door, and now completely has caught up with that Graviton Surge, has theirs ready first, and with the way these fights have gone, you're looking at a full ult economy coming up here soon, just missing out on the Bob currently.
Yeah, but honestly, if you're Santiago, you're okay missing out on the Bob. Lamont should be able to build it up pretty quickly. We know how good of a shot they are, so it should not be a long time before you see Bob ready to go here. But you have the ultimates in your disposal right now for Santiago, and now you see the grab come out. Nothing really to stop it on the other side, but you don't even find Dreams.
Yeah, and Dreams is going to go down inevitably. Pakovic pulled in, though. Just doesn't have a beat ready to keep them going, so now you need another quick reset. Here's Lamont. Unfortunately, is going to fall down on the reset, but they still have a touch set up here with Kenos.
Kenos, you have Poplots with the beat. You have Nika with the Kitsune Rush. You have ultimates to use here. There's the beat.
Whoa.
But I think everyone just backed up from Valparaiso. Really smart play by them.
Yeah, and you see Dream is going back over on the Winston in this instance. Bob will be thrown out. This is literally everything being thrown out in this instance by Santiago. And the thing is that they're not even locked in yet. Pakovic and Alian are the only ones still alive. And now you kind of see right there, Sense is kind of playing up a little bit. Everybody forced back as Dreams is getting a little bit more careless. Everybody eventually from the side of Santiago making their way back into the fight. Dreams might be forced to get out of here pretty soon. Has to dive out of there. Pun Pun maybe in a little too deep. Lucky to get out.
Lucky to get out, and somehow it's Santiago holding on there. But now Alanade or Poplots gonna be able to find Dreams there. That's gonna be a reset now for Valparaiso. And Hunter, you said it yourself there. Valparaiso, they dumped everything in that last fight. Not to win it is devastating for them here because they really don't have anything. Granted, Santiago doesn't have anything either. They might be able to build to a beat here. That's the only thing. Burt, potential Deadeye, but you're gonna need to land a lot of right clicks in a row, or a lot of headshots in a row here to be able to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to find its value you're hoping for right there, because they're going to get pushed back. Pun Pun, I was going to say, I'm just going to get taken out early, and now you have no ults available. You're building up towards this Graviton Surge, but I don't think it's going to mean anything right here as Burt pushed back LCS and Senses all around to potentially get one more touch. That they will, but no Deadeye going to be available for this fight. It is just stalling one at a time, and unfortunately, that will be stopped right there at the tail end. So, again, you see the map be finished here, but at the end of the day, that's a really good hold there.
Yeah. I think both teams had really good holds. You go to Valparaiso being able to hold on second point, Santiago able to really hold it down on third point. I think that's what you want to see. Both these teams are really figuring each other out very quickly. Both these teams had really great fights and some really poor fights this map. And especially with this being down to, you have to say, the best 15 players left for this team for consideration, at least. they're showing out here. Everyone is showing out. I don't think anyone necessarily had a bad map. Again,
No, I definitely don't think so. And obviously that makes things a little tougher for certain individuals, but we here love to see that. We want to see everybody doing as best as they possibly can in this situation. So obviously proceeding forward with the next and potential final map, as we're already at the 8 p.m. mark, only 5 maps in, so we'll see how far things extend from there. But either way, we'll see who else is going to get some of these maps to finish things out as well with these last 1 or 2. It's something that we're kind of have to obviously wait and see on and see who's going to come in. But is there anything else, just you in general? Is there anything that anyone that you want to see more of, and like whether that is in any way that might be? Is there someone that you really want to see in these last couple of maps that maybe we need that extra look on?
I really think we have to see Glitch again. I want to see Glitch get streamed. I want to see that. I believe we saw that back on Shambali. I want to see that matchup here. We only saw Neuroshan for, I believe, 2 maps so far. I want to see them, and Zeus. I think we've only seen them 1 or 2 maps throughout the night. So I want to see them come in here. Outside of that, I mean, you basically know who you're going to be getting here. You could really tell Bert and Lamont to kind of sit out this last map here. They've been playing all series all night. You could tell them to sit out and just have 4 flex DPS players go in there and start to show you some flexibility, because I would imagine they're going to bring us to a control map if it is our final map of the night and have predetermined compositions ready for them. I think that would be a smart thing to do, especially if you want to have 2 or 4 flex DPS play. But other than that, like, I want to see Glitch and Dreams. I want to see them go against each other, because we know what we're getting out of Crow. We know what we're getting out of Pakovic. Glitch and Dreams, they've been really good throughout the nights. I want to see them go up against each other one more time.
Yeah, honestly, it'd be really nice to see in this instance. We'll see what the situation will end up being. As I'm gonna slightly spoil myself and look over in the channels. As we might be done, actually. Everyone's gone.
Are we done?
I mean, if you go look at the channel, everyone's gone. No one exists anymore.
Okay. First Chile not existing, then you just make sure no one exists anyway. If that is the case, I mean, hey, 5 good maps by, I believe, everybody that played here tonight. We did see a lot of Burt. We did see a lot of Lamont and LCS and Poplot throughout the night. Again, those were the only 2 players for those roles, so they each played on a team. And I mean, I thought they all really did show a lot. I think every tank, I think, showed us a lot. It's really going to be a hard decision at that tank line, even though, Hunter, I believe me and you are kind of leaning maybe towards one. Again, not going to say who. Hit scan, do you keep both your hit scans? Do you only take one of them, bring in 2 flex DPSs as well? Do you take 2 flex supports? Do you take both your main supports that trial throughout this entire night? Not our decision, which is, I think, one thing me and you are very happy about. But the people who are putting this team together, they've seen a lot of good stuff over these 3 nights. They have a really, really tough decision to make here.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a really tough one, and obviously not envious in the slightest in that case. But obviously, you trust the staff and the coaches to come down and name the 7 players that they think is going to fit this team the very best. And obviously, we'll see how long that ends up taking. Maybe this is a very quick decision. Maybe they need time to be able to do so, which is fine if they do. Again, there's no gigantic rush. We're still like months away before the actual full competition really begins. But also, the sooner you lock that in, the sooner you can get to work and try to make your team as strong as possible. So, hey, it'll be fascinating to see. But either way, that's a good way to end the weekend right there, Dex, because whew.
Yeah. And hey, we're getting confirmation right now that was the final map of the night. And again, I think we both said a lot here. I think every player that played here tonight did show us their best. I don't think anyone was struggling at all. Yeah, there were moments where individually in maps, some were struggling, but whenever we started talking about maybe one player struggling, they immediately turned it around, which is a really, really good thing to see for a lot of these players. But I mean, Hunter, if this is truly it for the Team Chile tryouts here, trials, we talked about it. Tough decision here for the coaching staff and people putting this team together, but man, we saw a lot of Chile's best talent here throughout these last 3 days.
Yeah, we 100% did, and obviously it's gonna be exciting to see what we see going forward with Team Chile and how well they're able to perform. Obviously, hope to see them once things are formed, maybe some show matches. Obviously, that's a little later down the line. Um, Obviously, but there are a lot of other nations that are also doing their Tryouts in the next week or two, and obviously we'll post more online about that when we decide what we'll be covering. But there is a lot of things coming up here in very a very short time, honestly. Everything from Brazil to Argentina, Honduras, Puerto Rico. There's a lot that's going to be happening here.
And probably more that haven't been announced just yet as well. And even though we saw Puerto Rico play that show match against Costa Rica, the fact they're going to still have these trials for a lot of players definitely is letting you know, like, hey, even though we have been doing these show matches, we want to see if there's anyone else out there, especially because we only saw Talisman in one map last night. Haven't seen them up until that point at all for any of the Puerto Rico stuff. There's a lot of other good Puerto Rican players out there who I don't think we've seen. So they have a lot of good options left to be shown.
Yeah, a ton of good options. So obviously we're looking forward to all of that, but as soon as we know stuff, obviously you'll know as well. But everyone that came out tonight or throughout the entire weekend, obviously want to thank y'all for being here. Obviously check out for the socials as to what else we may or may not be doing throughout the next few weeks in terms of this World Cup shenanigans that we've had thus far. But everyone, have yourselves a good night. We'll see you next time for some more Overwatch action. Take care.